Hello and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turn. I'm here with Sean Bell.
Hello.
Matt Murray.
I am.
There's no James Farley this week, which is becoming quite the catchphrase on the podcast. In James's place we have...
Leave him alone.
yeah,
he did 1 week in a row, Sean. 1 week in a row. It's a new streak.
He just ruined his 1 week streak. Yeah, we should have one of those counters.
On the Twitch layout. Yeah, we need one of those tickers. But yeah.
In his place this week, we have the amazing Sarah Dyer. How you doing, Sarah?
I'm good. How's everyone?
Well, good. You're on for a very specific reason this week, aren't you? Because, you know, Matt bangs on about how much he loves Final Fantasy, doesn't understand it. So we've got a section of the show put aside for Matt's questions this week about the Final Fantasy universe.
I mean, it is going to be interesting how many of them I can answer.
This is what's going to find out. Sean, this is what we're going to find out, that fucking no one knows what Final Fantasy is about. No one understands. They say they do.
That at least casts Matt in a better light than just
but it also casts everyone in a worse light that plays those dreadful games. Patreon producers this month, we have Aaron Patrick, the QuickBooks chap, Simon Nelson, Moomin Biscuit, Trans Rights to Human Rights, Dave Ernsberger, Colin Brown, Gazman, Rocketman76, Grey Dragon Claw, Smooth Monkey, Richard Sawyer, John Tempelli, Jackie Sniper, Sam Higton, Tom S, Stan, Philip with an F, Fred Fenge, John the Nelsmeister Nelson, Ryan Cobain, Stephen the Nuclear I love that. And happy birthday for Tukey. Thank you so much for supporting the show. Patreon.com/TCGS if you would like to support us. There's a bonus show coming out soon. There is a live video where we're going to work our way through book 1 of the Sonic Choose Your Own Adventure books.
It's book 3. Book 1 and 2 are too expensive.
Yeah, they were pricey. They were limited edition.
Yeah, they're antiques now. Yep.
Sonic versus Zonic, which, to be honest, sounds like the best one. I cannot wait to see what Zonic is. I hope that's not explained at all. But patreon.com/TCGS. Let's get to the feedback from last week's show, Matt, shall we?
Yeah, why not? SMW, just a collection of feedback from recent shows. The two-man show the other week was brilliant. James leading into the news last week was so brilliantly awkward. And thank you to Sarah Dyer for continually mentioning Inscription whenever she's been on the show. I finally bought it yesterday and just finished the first act and absolutely loved it. Love the show as always, SMW.
Sorry, Matt, was there anything about me in there? Or was it...
There was no mention of you,
actually. Nothing about me? Okay.
Strangely absent, Sean. You like James.
I didn't even notice that. That's says a lot about you there, Sean. Says a lot about you.
If anyone's got any Sean feedback, please send it in. Sean only feedback. That's what we need for next week.
Right, next week. Yeah, what do you think of Sean? That's the topic of the feedback.
No, if you can, don't leave it open like that. We'll just get loads of negatives.
I'm going to leave it open like that. Be careful.
Everyone,
we already had someone in the YouTube comments last week going, "Oh, these are the timestamps when Sean sniffed. I was ill. I had a cold."
Also, I'm sorry, but if you've got time to do that.
Yeah,
maybe get a hobby.
Sarah, their hobby is listening to us. Don't get another hobby.
Well, yeah,
sign up if anything.
I mean, carry on listening. Yeah, but to go through and get timestamps for sniffs is strange.
I'm guessing they just did it as they were listening anyway.
Yeah,
it's not that bad, I don't think.
Again, what is it called? tcgs.co/dear TCGS. What do you think of Sean?
We want all the feedback for next week.
Coming across well this week.
Yeah, how am I podcasting? Phone 0808.
How many stiffs can you count? Next.
Okay, Alex. Colin's right. Sean needs to play some proper games. James, name him a gun so we can shoot something.
James doesn't do the trick. Guns out.
Shoot one of James's guns and that's it. I'll just play Call of Duty now.
Can we do a video where we go and see his collection? Next time he's over, we go to his collection. We go to like a.
Do you think James just goes out and he has like there's like an abandoned lot somewhere he goes where he's got like some bottles set up and he just
not bottles, Coke cans, isn't it? He drinks doesn't he drink a copious amount of Diet Coke? Yeah. He's just got loads of Coke cans that he puts up on a fence and he fires them one by one.
It doesn't go to an abandoned lot. It just goes to his gardens. He goes to the gardens. He goes to a certain part of the, just outside the east wing. Yeah. It's like, I'm going to fire my Beretta.
The Diet Coke cans with Jeff Keighley's face on them, and he's just...
Yeah.
I can imagine him genuinely doing this though, and Asher going, "Can I have a go?" No.
No, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Watch this.
I don't know. That sounds like pretty sensible parenting, to be honest. Not giving your child a firearm. It's probably the right thing to do.
Yeah, no, actually, you're absolutely right. Might have misfired with that one.
Great pun.
That wasn't even intent. I actually hate myself for that. So let's move on.
Do you ever hate that when you say something that you know is a pun, but you don't mean it as a pun? It's just the word you would use anyway, and then someone's like, "No pun intended," and it's like, "Oh, just fuck off." Just stop.
I usually punch those people. The problem I've got at work at the moment is that I use that someone said you can't, and I said there's no need to call me that, and they looked at me straight faced and went, "That's the worst joke. That's the worst joke I've ever heard."
Sorry, it's about
and
a podcast.
I cried.
I
went to the toilet to cry, but now I can't stop doing it, even though they've said that it's the worst joke ever. And now I'm stuck in this horrible loop where I say, "There's no need to call." Oh, fucking hell! It's just where I'm at in my life at the moment.
Yeah, I did it. It was many months ago, and I didn't even get a response. I think because most people are northern up here, obviously, and so you can't. It's like it's not even. They're like, it's not like down south. It feels,
Doesn't sound anything like
the
other word that I won't say because I'm not editing this week.
No,
I don't think I am. We haven't discussed this. Sorry.
Well, do you want to, Sean?
Nope.
Okay, fine. Let's move on. Clark the Mad Miner, disciple of Tesla. Hey up, lads. Quick one on last week's pod. Has Matt ever
played with our listeners? Why don't I just put what's your name? Why don't you just put your name in?
Something like that, or like a kitchen utensil, type of boxer short, size, shoe, etc. Anyway, up, lads. Quick one on last week's pod. Has Matt ever played a video game? Just asking, as he pointed out, Helldivers 2 isn't a live service game when it very much is the core definitional one. Okay, so just on that, Clark, I haven't not played it. I was under the impression that maybe they hadn't intended for it to go like full hardcore Destiny style live ops, like a game that's supported for many, many years with tons of different content, but because it's blown up so big that maybe it's going to be bigger. The initial plans were a lot bigger than they may have originally anticipated. But that's what I thought.
No, that's rewriting history a bit, isn't it?
Well, I think that's what I said, didn't I? Like given all success, they've changed things?
Kind of.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. That's why you're on here.
Like Sarah, what has he got over you? What has he got some info on you?
Don't tell him, Sarah.
Gonna get out of it? What is this?
you were definitely wrong when you said it's not a live service game, like because it is.
Yeah, but he's saying he didn't say that. That's the problem. He's saying he didn't say that now.
Well, yeah, I think bringing in the Destiny stuff was a bit of a weird comparison. From what I've read about Helldivers is they did have a roadmap. But they basically just had to completely change that.
Yeah.
So, I think, that it is live service, and there was a roadmap for new content. I think even then though, it still would have been like super different from Destiny, just because it's just not the same type of game.
I just thought it was going to be a lot bigger now, but anyway, I clearly know nothing. I haven't played it or any video game.
Right, can I say before we move on, right? I'm going to talk about this now. Sorry, Sarah, go on.
I was just going to say you just need to learn about more games, and then you've got more, and then you've got more things to compare it to.
Yeah, I'm getting a lot of Boss Baby vibes from Helldivers 2,
actually. Right, so I've been thinking about this with Helldivers 2 all week. And I've been reflecting on my personality traits, and one of them that I actually hate about myself is I really like introducing people to things. Do you know what I mean? Like whether it be games, music, a film, whatever. I'll recommend something, and then I'm like, "Isn't it brilliant?" And they're like, "Yeah, it's all right. Leave me alone." And the only other person I know in my life like that is Sean, and I would say, right, out of all four of us, Sean and I, our personality clashes the least. Between me,
you think?
like You might be with other people better, but that was not a correctly formed sentence.
That's the episode title.
You might be better. You might be better with other people, but for me, I clash with Matt all the time. I clash with James all the time, and I very rarely clash with you. Right?
No, that's fair
But
enough,
the one thing that I do clash with you about, for some reason, so this all come about because in our WhatsApp group that Sarah's in, that Ian's in, Sarah said something along the lines of, "Oh, you don't bring it up enough how you were raving about Helldivers ages before it come out." And said this to Sean. And I went, "Well, no, actually, I was pretty positive about it. I remember the talks over being really excited about the thing." And then Sean posted a video of me going, Sean says this about every game. And I was like, well, yeah, he does. So still in the right here.
I do appreciate the Anarchy Reigns bit. Very happy for that to come up.
Right, okay, fine. Okay, Anarchy Reigns was a misfire, yeah. Right. But then so I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, no, I was definitely pumped about it because I remember being excited about it about the week before it came out. And I was texting John Denton saying, we've got to get this game. We've got to get this game. But I was absolutely devastated when I couldn't find video evidence of me going, no, this looks really good. And I went back and looked at every single time we watched a trailer for Helldivers. And I'm sitting there going, Anarchy Reigns, like every time. And I sort of sat back and thought, why is this upsetting me so much? Sean liked a game first. Or Sean raved the game about it. But for me, I don't know what it is in my head. And there's been another thing that is big in our lives that I introduced to the group, and part of me thinks that you think you introduced it to the group, and it's killing me because I want to tell you now I was first. That was the cartoon series Bluey.
Oh yeah, no, you introduced us to that. Yeah.
Oh, thank God for that.
Yeah,
I've been sitting there going, when you've been raving about Bluey, I've been going, well, you know that I told you about it first, Sean, right? I bet he's forgotten that I told him about it first, and it will be a big argument.
You were on Bluey like way before anyone else.
Right, okay, that's all I need to hear.
That's fine.
Because now I can relax. That is like, Sean, that's been like 2 years of anxiety in the back of my skull going, if he's going to come out and say, well, I introduced it first, I'm going to be fuming. What is that? I'd love to know what that is. I guarantee there are other groups of friends that have people like me and Sean in it, where you have to be the first to mention something's going to be good. Because you're not like that, right, Matt? You don't really give a shit.
No, probably not. But I do like to be there day one. But I'm less fussed about I introduce people to it because who cares?
Because I care. And Sean cares. Sean's going quiet now because he knows. I'm
awful for this stuff. Like if someone like sends me a trailer of something, and I'm like, yeah, I told you about that 6 months ago, and I can't do it in like a friendly way. I can't hide my irritation. As if everyone's supposed to have like encyclopedic knowledge of everything I've ever fucking said to them. I don't remember the things I've said most of the time. Like, why should anyone else?
That's why I like the whole John Denton approved this, and that's why I got it rather than Sean, because that would irritate the shit out of me if I was on the other end of that. I was like, yeah, this will get him. Yeah, so anyway, that was just a bit of a step into our minds that I thought, that was weird on the way to work, just thinking, fucking hell, maybe I do need to talk to someone, because this isn't normal, is it? At nearly 40.
I think that probably is normal, isn't it? I don't know. How different that's that.
I don't think it's normal.
What is normal?
I don't think it's a problem necessarily. I think the benefits, outweigh the.
Yeah, you get to get all these great recommendations. Yeah, people in the chat saying therapy's good, and maybe we need to do that therapy episode with
expensive,
Ian.
So.
Well, this is it. If we work it into a podcast, then maybe.
Oh, that's true. So, yeah, we can expense it then.
And he wouldn't be doing real therapy, right?
I don't think any real therapist would
is that a diss on Ian or
exactly? Exactly. It would be like comedy therapy.
Which is the best kind of
funny therapy.
So
yeah, it's best
therapy-ish.
Laughter's the best medicine. Sorry, so that's just been playing on my mind for about 8 years. Should we get
that was the first sentence in this letter of feedback.
Oh yeah.
Sentence 2. Oh, and on Balatro, the roguelike element is the Joker unlocks, and specifically the rare chance to unlock the legendaries, as this then adds them to the rotation in the store pool commons.
Okay, we will get to Balatro in a minute because the two
Yes.
of us are talking about it. I've got
Dave's-
lots to say about that game.
Dave's suggestion of a dinosaur race should have promoted to GM. Genius. I literally don't know what's about.
It'd be
Dave's
too
suggestion
similar
of a
to the
dinosaur
box.
race should have him promoted to GM.
Right, he's talking about Helldivers,
Oh.
and I suggested that the next faction that come in should be dinosaurs. But I'll be honest with you, Clark, thanks so much for the support. I'll say this. I just listened back to that and just gone, what a fucking boring thing if they just went dinosaurs now.
Also,
I'd be like,
isn't
what?
that just Exoprimal at that
Exactly.
point?
That's true.
Well, just actually
game,
a
though.
good version of it.
Oh my god, my head's gone. My head's gone so bad. I was like, racing dinosaurs? Like, where was this conversation? I just
Racing dinosaurs?
Well,
Where are you getting racing dinosaurs?
the dinosaur race. That's where my head went straight away.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? When did I miss a conversation about two T-Rexes chasing after each other? But turns out, no.
I'd play that. I'd fucking
Yeah.
play it, Matt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would actually, yeah. Cheers for the consistently amazing pod. A shout out to Lindy and the Helldivers gang for some of the most fun gaming I've had in years. That's from Clark.
Such a good game. All right.
Old man yells at cloud. Immortality was an excellent video game.
That wasn't, man.
It wasn't, was it?
I
I think I liked it more than you guys, but even I found that as you get towards the end, there's that sort of weird area of the game where it's like, well, you might have triggered like some of the ending. The game's trying to guess whether or not you've pieced it together, isn't it? Basically,
Yeah.
And but then there's another thing to see, but only when you've seen like every clip. But then finding every clip is just an absolute chore at that point.
Yeah.
Stuff like that really threw me off. I did appreciate what it was doing though overall, but yeah.
Yeah, I
Did ya?
appreciate it, and I still thought it was really impressive. I just didn't like it, and
What
it
was
didn't feel satisfying.
Right, okay.
No,
These
I
are
think it
just
was really
words.
ambitious.
What was impressive about it?
I think it was incredibly ambitious to have like his three or four movies spliced together.
I think, yeah.
But I just didn't get it. It didn't feel anywhere near as good as the previous games, which I thought was really satisfying. You knew what you're doing, you tick things off. It was just they were great, clever, fun games to play. This I just got nothing from it. Felt nothing. But I could still see if I took a step back, there was really, it's a really incredibly ambitious project. But for me, it just didn't speak to me. Wasn't fun.
I don't know,
Did nothing
man.
for me.
I got to the end of it and just thought this is like so many student plays I've ever seen, and the themes I worked out within 2 seconds turned out to be what the themes were, and I was like, "Oh, are you fucking kidding me?"
We haven't been to drama school, Dave.
Her story.
Yeah,
you
I can imagine
We're
that
muggling
when
us.
you say, I feel like when you say this is like a student drama, your like bar of quality is way higher than like anyone else's.
So for my GCSEs drama, we had to write and perform a play. And our one, I played a therapist who would then listen to someone's traumatic story, and then in the next scene, and the traumatic story would play out in front of me while I was sitting in the chair, and in the next scene, one of the characters from that dramatic story was staying in the room with me. And at the end of the story, I got a chalk out and wrote over the wall "smile," but the eye wasn't an eye, it was I drew an eye in the middle of it, and then I threw the chalk down and walked out the room. I got an A for that. So that
See, this is it, Dave. I'm
that's
listening to
really
that
good.
thinking like, fucking hell, this sounds all right, actually.
Yeah, that sounds like that could be better than Immortality. For
level
me.
not
shit.
all right.
This is
It was
better
not.
than
It was not
Cats.
good. Although one of the actors in that play did go on to win several BAFTAs, and so maybe it was better. It was
There
Blake.
you go. You were
Blake was in
making
it.
of
Blake,
him. Who was it?
Blake,
Can you
Blake
say?
was in it. He played. Yeah,
Who's
he
Blake?
played a homosexual soldier. Is what he played.
Cool. Is that what he was credited as?
Yeah.
Nothing ever credit. Honestly, this shit happened all day, every day in that school, and yeah. Anyway, when it comes to immortality, that what I find amazing about that is that a lot of people like it, right? And I think it's fair to say that when we all don't like a game, we are very much of the opinion. There are some times where we go, "How could anyone like this?" But for the most part, we realise that it just wasn't for us. What I find really strange is that it's very fucking rare that all four of us go, nah, to a game that got so highly praised. So
It is
that,
very rare.
take that for what. And we're the realist people in the video game industry, aren't we?
We're the last real
Yeah,
people in it, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, have a look at yourself, old man.
Okay,
That's what I'm
Sustra.
saying.
I think it's time that Matt came back to streaming. If it wasn't for watching his Dark Souls stream and getting infuriated, thinking I can definitely do that better, I never would have properly experienced the wonder of that game. Ditto replaying Super Metroid for all its brilliance, using the D-pad and not complaining about the controls. Pick another belter I might not have got into, like Bayonetta or an Assassin's Creed game. Keep up the good work, all.
Well, we've got some big news, haven't we, Matt?
Have we?
Yeah, Matt's returning to streaming this week.
I don't believe.
Right?
I don't believe
This is
that's
your
been
big-
agreed, is it?
Well, no, but it's the only way you're actually going to do it. So I think I'm just
No,
going to announce it.
I
and
think
see
I
what
will. I
happens.
will at some point, just not. And I'm closer than ever, just not now. Maybe
But that's all.
next 3 years.
What do you
It's
know what
got-
you're going to stream?
No.
Okay.
He's not even thought about this. This doesn't
No,
even
I was
come up.
talking
just
about
made that up
yesterday,
on the
and
spot.
he. Oh no, I was
try
talking
and
about
peer
yesterday,
pressure
and
him
he's
into
like,
doing it.
just do a horror game because that'd be
That's
that'd
true.
be fun.
It's
But
a wheelhouse.
will it be fun?
Well, not for you. But
I mean, it's
not
easy
about
money.
you, so.
I don't know. I really miss the Matt Effect stuff. You would have loved that game series if you stuck with it, but I think maybe
yeah.
that's a game that was better played off of stream.
Yeah, it's like it's a 60, 70 hour game. Over streams, that'll be like 4 years. That'll be. If it's once a week, it'll take forever, wouldn't it? No way.
All right, Carol Vorderman.
What? Oh, no. It's Rachel
I just
Riley
saw
these
your
days.
cogs.
Oh
I
yeah,
just
but
saw
she's awful though.
Yeah, she is
so,
horrendous.
Yeah.
I just saw the
Is she awful?
working
What's
out.
she done?
kind
I
of-
thought she was.
Oh yeah, she
Oh,
is
there
awful.
was a whole thing with
Politically.
Corbyn and a t-shirt and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's not Carol Vorderman. That was
No,
Rachel Riley.
Yeah, that's
right,
what we
that's what we're
said.
talking about.
Yeah,
Right,
that's
sorry,
what we
right,
moved on
apologies.
to. Pay attention, baby.
Yeah.
Right.
Dave, there's a
Let's
national
go.
shortage of my brain pills. All right.
Okay. Yes. Sean Richards, thank you so much for the massively positive. Thank you so much for all the hang on. Okay. Thank you so
It's
much
not
for
that
all the
hard, Matt. I'm just-
massively positive what you've been playing section in episode 391. Snappy Sean made me want to go and play loads of new games.
Good.
I'm enjoying this year of gaming way more than last year of gaming. Fuck you, everyone that says the same thing every time.
No,
Oh,
last year was amazing, but this year has started incredibly well. I reckon it might dry out. as we
Yeah,
get
I think you might be
further in,
right, but my word, the first 3 months have been
it's been a
have
storm.
been very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Well done, 2024.
Yeah.
You've surprised us all.
Well done.
Go on.
Should do
Tiny
Tiny Tim
Tim.
now and then just call it a year.
yeah, I'd love that. I would genuinely love that.
Should be like Helldivers? Yep. Helldivers? Yep. Cool. That's Helldivers.
Yes.
I was like, no. How about the 1997 game?
I can't wait. I can't wait. You know, I can't wait. Right? Say it is Helldivers, right?
Mhm.
I can't wait for James voting against it because it's too obvious. But me and you just not budging. Like there
Yeah,
is
sure.
no way. Like he's gone, but it's too obvious. Yeah, well it doesn't matter because we're going to
It's the
sit
best
here
game,
now for an
so-
hour.
It's not an isometric indie game though, so he might be into that.
No, that's true.
Yeah,
you're
maybe
right.
it'd be okay. With
But
it.
you probably
yeah,
will
yeah,
insist
maybe.
it's indie, even though it's published by PlayStation.
Yeah, okay.
Tiny Tim, dear sirs, as a 14-year-old footballer, fuck Mario. I couldn't go to practice the weekend I played Mario Odyssey because of the scene with the dinosaur that Mr. Turner described. I didn't sleep that night and I was too tired to dribble, so coach sent me home.
Oh no.
My mum later figured out why, so she took the game away from me and only let me play it during the daytime. Fuck that guy for all the suffering he's caused in people's homes.
Actually, that sounds pretty good, isn't it? You've still got to play it during the day, Tiny Tim, and
Thing
you
is,
become
though,
a better
that's-
footballer for it.
That's not Mario's fault though. It's the dinosaur's fault, right?
Yeah.
It was in Mario's
well,
game though. It's
Yeah, but I don't
It has
think
to- the
Mario
buck has to
decides
stop at
what's in his
Mario.
game.
Are we saying that in Mario games, if anything scary happens, Mario should deal with it?
yeah,
make
it's his
us feel safe.
responsibility. His name's on the box. You can't be letting any old dinosaur in the
Every
game.
time there's like an enemy that's like a bit too much, you'd be like, "Don't worry, I'll just put the control down. Give me 5 minutes."
Yeah,
Deal
I
with
like the fact that Matt thinks that Mario gets to decide what's in his game. Like he's like the gatekeeper.
Yeah,
Why
he's the
would he-
boss.
Why would he let those little bird things that sort of nut into the wood and then they're really
Excuse me?
annoying.
Yeah, but maybe we can catch them because they're too quick.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Sean. Right, let's just move on.
just realised what you said.
Well, the episode title's now Nut into the Wood. So
Damn straight it is.
No getting around that is a fucking hell.
Not into the fucking wood.
Nope, the F word wasn't used.
No, there's no
Oh, wasn't
F.
it? Oh, okay.
Don't make it vulgar, Matthew.
No, cool. Okay.
For that.
Where was I? Yes. David Lynch has messaged. Thank you for your message, David.
Oi, oi.
Hi, Matt. David Lynch here. So you know it's not bullshit because he said that.
It's real.
Yeah, no one else could possibly say that. David Lynch here, just telling you how to watch Twin Peaks. Stop after the murderer of Laura is revealed, then skip to the last episode of season 2, then watch Firewalk with Me, then watch season 3. Just thought you'd appreciate me writing in.
I love that last. I love that last sentence. It's like, well, if David Lynch, if that was actually David Lynch, and he listened to the podcast, he went, right, I'm gonna message in, but I haven't really got anything to say, so I know that it would just appreciate me writing in. So he's made up the first bit as bullshit. Was he the one that did the videos like shouting at everyone for watching movies on a fucking phone?
Yeah. Bless him.
David.
Yeah, but in Scorsese's done it.
only
I
thing
think
that
loads
was
of
worse
older
things would
directors have done that, you know.
Yeah, stop telling us what to do. You know what I mean?
Well, anyway,
Old directors don't
appreciate
really
it.
have the best of reputations.
That time I talked on the show about how I thought it'd be fun to like watch like a prestige drama, but only ever on my phone on the toilet. And then James was like, "Oh, that's how I watch stuff."
Yeah,
That's how I watched Oppenheimer. It's just the way Nolan intended.
He actually did Barbenheimer, but just on the loo.
Oh yeah.
all right. Let's
That
go.
is it for feedback. Go to tcgs.co/dear. TCGS, leave your feedback about Sean.
Sean, news.
Yep. Did everyone watch the Xbox Partner Preview Showcase?
Do you know what? I didn't.
Did you
I
not?
didn't watch this. No, because it was on during the day, right?
It was weird timing for us. Yeah.
I heard nothing about it, so I'm assuming nothing was announced.
It was not.
I didn't even know it was happening.
Yeah, big marketing.
Like-
Yeah, I knew there was going to be one, but then I was like, oh yeah, there was that thing last night, wasn't it? But yeah, then no one spoke about.
There weren't many like big like announcements or anything. I mean, so they opened with this game called Unknown 9 Awakening, which looks like Assassin's Creed, where you punch people's souls out of their bodies.
Oh
Fine.
yes, please.
Yeah, why not? Sleight of Hand looks like a really cool sort of stealth, sort of immersive sim, but where you're using little cards, because you know I love those, don't I? To do like magic essentially. That looks really cool. Was that Matt?
I said magic, but that trailer's just CG. So what can you?
Yeah, so
Can't learn
it was
anything from
just
that, can you?
pre-render, which is a shame. But yeah, no, it looks all right. There was the altars, which looked really interesting.
Look at that now.
Basically-
What it looks like? It looks like what is it? Death Stranding, but with the Joel from Left 4 Dead.
Well, you
Not Left 4
basically
Dead, The Last of Us.
you're living
Fucking
on
hell.
this like weird sort of, I don't know what to call it really. It's like sort of a big vehicle, but with all different rooms in it and stuff on this planet, and you're able to like summon alternate universe versions of yourself in order to help you out, and you're like picking people out of timelines and stuff. And
that looks cool, man.
Yeah.
That sounds very good,
Yeah,
actually.
I mean, what else? They threw in a Roblox game, which was weird.
Yes.
Because they didn't like
Fucking love
initially
Roblox.
announce it as such. So when they first started showing it, I was like, "Is this some sort of wind up? What is this? It looks terrible." And then when they announced it was it's some Roblox game with Chucky in it, and I was like,
Oh.
"Okay." I looked.
I saw that
awful,
video.
but I
Have you
also
seen?
realized...
Have you seen?
Oh, sorry.
Have you seen the Spanish dub of Chucky?
No.
The Chucky film. Oh, it cropped up again. I'd seen it before, but it cropped up again on my timeline the other day. You'll love it. Just watch the voice of Chucky in the Spanish dub of that film. Go and Google it, people. It's the best thing you'll see this week. Sorry. Yes.
That's right. Yeah, no, it was just interesting. So, yeah, me watching it being like, "Oh, what the fuck is this?" But obviously, numbers-wise, it's probably the biggest thing on the whole show. But hey ho.
It's crazy how like kids are like into scary stuff. Like
It's
way
really
more
weird.
than we were. Yeah, I know. Like we were in a there's a comic shop in Sutton. We popped in there on Mario Day, and Charlie was like, "Oh, it's Five Nights at Freddy's." I was like, what are you? How do you know what Five Nights at Freddy's are? Oh, Lanky Box talk about it all the
I was
time.
gonna say it's
And
because
then-
the YouTube's talking
Yeah.
about it. That's why.
But wasn't that like
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still the case. Wasn't that like a genuine problem that loads of kids were playing it and like teachers are like, yeah, all the kids are coming in tired and frightened because they can't sleep because they're playing fucking Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, no, I would not watch it. But they do this thing that when they're the children-friendly YouTubers are playing this stuff, they do this thing where this jump scares are still in it, but it counts down. Like it comes up in big numbers at the thing, like jump scare 3, 2, 1. Ah!
I mean, if they could add that to the games, it'd probably.
I was gonna say I love that in PT. Get it in, or any game actually.
No, I'm talking about for 5-year-olds here, Matt. Not come
I'll
on.
turn that on in settings.
Phil Wall in the chat is
Yeah.
making the point. So our generation we had Aliens toys, and when I did that Game Mag stream, there were like adverts for Terminator games. But then that was this weird era, like still weirdly inappropriate. I agree, but it was like the toys were entirely separate. Like I wanted Aliens toys, but I don't think I even knew there was a film, and I certainly wouldn't want to watch it when I was like 8. Do you know what I mean?
Well,
There was
like I always remember how, like, looking back on it now, it's really weird. But when I was in junior school, so I would have been probably from about 7 to 10, everyone had South Park stuff, like
Yeah, I had
South Park
South Park
pencil
stuff,
cases,
yeah.
and obviously like the South Park like N64 game as well.
Yeah, I
But,
love
like,
that shit
was
so
South
much.
Park a bit? No, it was always kind of offensive right off the bat, right?
Oh, 100%.
Oh yeah, God.
Yeah.
The first thing I saw from South Park was we downloaded on our school computer, the Cole's Mum's that song.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were like, what is going on in the world?
I
for
mean,
this to be
I-
Say
happening?
these things.
I think
Yeah.
was it like on like a web page and like it played the
Yes.
song.
We
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, yeah,
on the
because
same
the show was
I-
made in Flash, wasn't it? For
Yeah.
ages, so it's dead easy to put online.
But I also was introduced to probably that exact same web page by my stepdad.
Right, okay.
And yeah, my mum did not approve of
No.
that at all.
I tell you what really weirds me out is that I loved the Ghostbusters growing up and that Ghostbusters film, and I remember like thinking, but like the scene where one of them gets a blowjob from a ghost is.
Yeah.
I remember at the time just thinking, why is his belt being undone? Like, why is he going in the bed?
I don't remember
there?
that.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
that scene in it. And it's weird that was just in a film that I watched when I was a kid.
Well, so I was really, really into Indiana Jones, and like you watch the big climactic scene at the end of the first one, Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's like people are melting and like
Yeah.
heads are exploding.
yeah. That
Like
shit is
it's,
great. Yeah,
it's
actually,
really
yeah.
gory.
Maybe it's all. Maybe I'm going. What are these kids are going through now? What are they doing? And actually, our upbringing was
well,
worse.
yeah,
Fair
yeah.
play.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else from the premiere?
Slightly
showcase?
weird announcements. You know, Stalker 2 is coming to the Xbox. I think it was meant to be
Yeah.
out about a year ago or something, but you know, very, very fair reasons for that being delayed. The original game, I think it's the original game, and then there's like 2 expansions, which they're calling a trilogy. They're all on Game Pass now. I think is it now? Yeah, they're out now.
Right.
Which is quite nice. I don't know how those games have aged. My understanding was even like people who swear by the original are like, oh yeah, you got to play Stalker, but here's this list of mods you should install to make it sort of bearable. I mean, and that felt like 5-10 years ago. So I don't know what they've done with like this sort of re-release / remaster. But yeah, kind of a weird announcement, but not an entirely unwelcome one. But it'd just be interesting to see how people get on with those games in 2024, I guess.
It's all very uninspiring. This stuff, isn't it?
It was a weird one because it was a good show. There was no big sort of like, oh holy shit, I didn't know this existed. Like, you know,
Right.
So the next game was Monster Jam Showdown, as in the monster trucks. I'm well up for that, but it was like, oh, we're doing another one of them. Cool.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, the biggest... Oh, so Frostpunk 2 got a showing. Really excited about that because I love the first game. This one looks like it's more... I think it's set like 20 years afterwards. So it's still like post-apocalyptic city management, but it's less like Frostpunk was like you are starting the city from scratch and you're going from everyone living in tents and having fuck all to like growing outwards and getting more sophisticated and sort of managing, like, you know, there was some sort of interesting sort of social political stuff going on, but it was mostly like survival, right, at all costs. Whereas this seems more like the city basically functions now, but it's more about the politics and the sort of different political groups sort of working against each other and you trying to keep the peace. Looks really interesting. Really excited about that. Yeah. And there's also another showing of Kunitsugami, Path of the Goddess.
That does look really good.
It looks absolutely sick, doesn't it? This has been shown before. This is the Capcom one, which I think is coming straight to Game Pass. Yes, it is. And it's the sort of melee combat, but with like a bit of strategy. You have like a squad and you're sort of ordering them around as you're also fighting stuff. And it just looks gorgeous. It's like inspired by sort of Japanese folklore. So there's a bit of a kami about it. Just looks really beautiful. Like, so yeah, really excited to play that. That was kind of it. There was a few other bits, but nothing that really stood out to me. It was fine.
Yeah. I mean,
it's very much. It seemed very much the kind of like mid-tier showing. Yeah, like it's obviously not the big names, but just a good showing of the very like kind of mid-range sort of stuff.
They've got sort of branding out. Like we've got Xbox Developer Direct. Like, okay, people basically call them Xbox Direct. Xbox Partner Preview Showcase. What? Come on, what is this? Just be done with it and call them all directs, and either like a partner direct, a developer direct,
and so just call this one partner direct.
So, like Xbox,
but they don't want to call it the same thing as Nintendo, do they?
Well, they kind of have by calling them one developer direct. Just like either lean into it or just have its own simple brand.
State of play,
But it's also the fact like Xbox partner preview showcase. Like call it the partner preview or the partner showcase.
Yes, exactly.
Like you don't need both words in there. They're kind of the same thing.
No one's saying, "Oh, have you seen the Xbox partner?" No, no one's giving a fuck about it. It's like, did you see the Xbox show, the Xbox Direct, the preview thing? Like, it's just too much.
So you got Nintendo Direct, Nintendo Indie.
Treehouse? Is that still? Oh, I know. Yeah,
Treehouse was the sort of E3 adjacent thing, wasn't it?
What's the indie thing?
I can't remember.
I mean, none of them.
Are they not?
They're the best ones that do it, and we can't name them.
Indie Direct, Nindies, Indie World says Phil Wall in the chat. Yeah, there's one, and I think they do have like they have the partner.
Yeah, they're all a joke. Yeah, it's just nonsense words, isn't it? To try and I don't know. It's a load of
at least Sony got it right. State of Play, or it's a State of Play showcase. There you go.
It's
you know where you
sort of a pun, not really, but who cares?
A total pun.
Okay.
Shall we move on?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Not to cast Microsoft as the heroes, bearing in mind they just laid off a bunch of people. But 600 Activision Blizzard QA workers have voted to unionize, and Microsoft have voluntarily recognized it with apparently very little fuss. Bearing in mind Activision Blizzard, separately from Microsoft, were like fighting this for ages.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
bearing in mind that Microsoft being against this at this stage after laying off that many people would be a terrible thing.
That is true. My understanding is they've always been fine with unionization.
Right.
And Microsoft does, I believe, have like very good sort of retention as far as tech industry is concerned. But yeah, so this basically immediately becomes like the biggest game workers union in the world, I think. So yeah, positive.
Nice.
As I say,
some positive news,
they did just lay off loads of people, so don't just be like, Microsoft are the good guys, actually.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not looking at Microsoft and thinking they're doing. I mean, they're doing something that that all companies should be doing. Like, I don't think they should be praised for that. I know. I know you want to. I know we want to praise them for that because people aren't doing it, and they are. Companies aren't doing it, and they are. But at the same time, this is how it should be. And actually, praise to the 600 Activision Blizzard QA staff that have put this together.
Yeah. I don't think it's the biggest one in the world though.
Was it not?
Because I'm pretty sure the game arm of the Independent Workers of Great Britain, the IWGB, I'm pretty sure the game chapter of that is bigger.
Okay. Sorry, yeah, I've just looked at the story again. So apparently it's the biggest game union in the US.
Yes, yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, and basically, James, if you're listening, like, Sean didn't go past the headline, and I think that's out of order.
Listen, I said before we started recording that I haven't gone past.
That's such a feeble way of bringing that up, Matt. Why did you do that?
I don't know.
Just to tick the box, I'm gonna ba. Goodbye. I'm gonna back off now.
I'm gonna
Goodbye.
ba.
Sitting in a bush.
I'm just gonna pit Sean and James against each other to
He's
get the heat off me.
Yeah,
He's just stirring things up.
stirring the pot, baby.
Yeah.
James, don't fall
What
for it.
did you do? James, I just want to let you know if you're listening, I've got your back, but not enough to have a go at him like I would if it was you.
Right, next story is a fairly miserable one. Have we all heard of the Sweet Baby Inc. controversy? I'm doing the air quotes.
Yeah.
I
controversy.
have heard of this, but
I
go on.
have.
Oh,
But
it's
tell the
fucking-
listeners.
Yeah,
I
but we
will.
all know it expertly. We know every single part, but just for the listeners,
Tell the thickos
benefit.
that listen to the show. Yeah.
Well, when
So, Sweet Baby Inc. is a video games narrative design consultancy, right?
Yeah.
And they advise on all sorts of things to get brought in to work on those different projects. And sort of overall, their goal is to look at a game with fresh eyes and be like, right, does the narrative make sense? Are there any bits of dialogue that come out looking weird or whatever? So, they do loads of really important work. Some group of right-wing shitheads, I believe this originated on fucking Kiwi Farms. If you don't know what Kiwi Farms is, good. Stay that way.
Yeah,
Don't
you
look it up.
don't. Your life will be worse
Exactly.
for
You're
finding out
fine
what
as you
Kiwi
are.
Farms is.
Basically, they decided that Sweet Baby Inc. are imposing wokeness and diversity on video games because they've sort of got a list of games that Sweet Baby Inc. worked on, and were like, oh, some of the characters are from minority groups, which is somehow bad. It's just this really weird situation. They've created a Steam curator list, which is every game that Sweet Baby Inc. have worked on, right? But with the and Steam aren't going to do anything about it because Steam, for all its positives, is a libertarian's fucking paradise, right? They don't do anything. You have to be so fucking heinous to get Steam to act against you.
Right.
And they're just like, oh, well, it's just a list of all the games that this one company's worked on, but with this implied you should not support these games, right? There's become this weird hate campaign against this one company. And staff getting abuse and everything, and it's just awful. And so basically, so a bunch of developers who've worked with them. So we've got developers of Spider-Man, Alan Wake, and a few other things that basically come out and says well, no, because Alan Wake 2 was apparently one of the main examples. They've been going on about this for months, saying oh, Sweet Baby Inc. are the reason that Saga Anderson is black, and it's and basically, the developers of Alan Wake 2 come out saying no. She was already they're not they're not a company that advise on they're not specifically for advising on diversity and inclusion stuff. They can do that as well, right?
It is part of it, but it's not. It's kind of being overblown what they actually do.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, a lot of people are kind of saying, a lot of people from this very loud minority are basically saying oh, well, Sweet Baby comes in and enforces all of these changes and forces all of this diversity into games, when that is not it at all. What they will do is say a game is already looking at having characters from a certain minority group. They will speak to someone like Sweet Baby, or script consultants will come in and it'll be okay, well, we're thinking of having this character from this minority group living in this area. Can you put us in touch with someone who is from that same group, from that same area, so we can make sure that would they dress like this, would they talk like this, would they say these sorts of things? And someone, the consultant can be yeah, that is how they would do it. Actually, no, change their character design just slightly. They'd probably wear more something like this. It's basically just making sure the plans and the characterization and the dialogue that is already in place or already planned makes sense and is authentic, because you may not have someone from that group in your studio already. Like, that is literally all it is. And also, as well as like, consultants like this exist in film, TV, and literature. Like, this isn't a new thing that only exists in games at all.
Yeah.
Because, like, obviously, yeah, I mean, you mentioned Alan Wake, but the other game that kind of keeps getting thrown around is Suicide Squad. And a lot of people, a lot of them are now suddenly trying to pin Suicide Squad's failure on the fact that Sweet Baby were involved, completely ignoring the fact that every single aspect of Suicide Squad's script would have been signed off by DC and Warner Brothers. Like, they would have signed off on every single aspect of that script. Like, nothing.
So what is this? Sorry. So what is this group doing to be able to get to the point where we're talking about them?
So they're harassing developers, and they are, as I say, they've sort of basically started this sort of online hate campaign, partly through this Steam curator list, and because of the way Steam works, it's just like, oh, this curator list is popular, I'll stick this on people's front pages. Like, it's just, yeah, it's really bizarre.
It's Gamergate all over again.
Yeah,
even down to, you know, obviously when Gamergate was kind of at its height, the whole thing was the dog whistle was ethics and games journalism. Now it's I can't even try, and there's some stupid theory that it somehow has links with like BlackRock. It's a whole nother level that is just, it's all nonsense.
They're just fucking arseholes, aren't they?
Yeah,
I think that's
essentially,
what it boils down to. There's people just fucking arseholes.
Yeah, but and it's part Gamergate, part current woke culture war bollocks, basically. And like, I've tried having a conversation with one of them in the comments of a TikTok. I must have been really bored at the time. And
was this in a professional capacity or just as you?
Okay. This was 100% just as me, on some completely random thing. And I was just like, okay, what games have they ruined? And obviously the ones that got thrown out was Suicide Squad, God of War Ragnarok, apparently. And I was like, okay.
I don't even know what in that game they would target. What?
Some of the characters are black.
Right.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's part of me that just goes, oh, well, fuck them then and ignore them. It's dreadful for the people that are getting abused and getting horrible messages for you. I'm not belittling that at all. You know, that's awful. And I hope there's a way to get that to stop. I don't think there is, and that's what sucks. And what also sucks is that we're clearly entering into a political phase in America that is only going to inflame this sort of fucking horse shit. But part of me just wants to go, do you know what, then fuck them and just ignore them, which is easy to say when you're not being attacked and not fuck me. I just don't know. I don't think there's a way around these hate groups sparking up. I wish there was, but I don't know if there's a way around it.
How do
you combat this?
From what I've seen, I think people are this time around, because obviously, you know, we've been through this before with Gamergate. I think these days, from what I can see, people do seem to be a lot more willing to just completely shut them down and to shout back against this loud group of idiots. So that's good. And yeah, you know, I mean, in terms of what companies like Sweet Baby are doing in terms of like making games more inclusive, like, you know, that is a thing that only got better since Gamergate and is only going to continue to get better. I don't think they're really going to do anything. I think it's just going to be a case of not just weathering the storm and ignoring them, but, you know, actively just kind of being like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. and just kind of quite actively just kind of shutting it down.
Mm.
Because like they can't, none of them can point to anything specific about what it is that Sweet Baby's possibly done that's so terrible.
Mhm.
None of them can ever point to anything specific.
Yeah, they're just guessing, aren't they?
Mhm.
It's not guessing. I think they
It's like
pick
they're
up
just angry, and this is the new thing they've found to be angry about.
Yeah.
Even though there's
And
not really any particular logic to it.
Yeah.
It's just
and they just regurgitate talking points. It's like if you look at any of the kind of real like the real kind of turf bigots, they will just throw out the exact same, they just parrot the same talking points over and over again because they just, they think it's a smart way to cover up their own bigotry when really they're just showing that they can't point to anything specific, because if they pointed to something specific, the specific thing would be, I don't like that this game has a black person in it. I don't like that this game has a gay person in it. So
Or a
they
pride
just
flag.
yeah, exactly. So they just throw out stuff that some chud on YouTube has said, and
double down. If you
Double
when you start looking at stuff like this, just double down on your opinion that diversity in games is a good and helpful thing, and say, like, do you know what I mean? It just solidifies the opinion, doesn't it?
It's like they were saying on Remap, like, if you're still mad in 2024 about games becoming more diverse in terms of characters and stuff, like, and you want to put like pressure on publishers, I guess, or developers to like stop doing it. It's like, even politics aside, like, it's a business move as well. Like, because we've heard so much, especially with all the layoffs recently and stuff, that like, there's this worry that like the size of the gaming audience is sort of reached a plateau and like may not grow any further. And it's like, well, maybe what if all the games didn't have just straight white men in them? Maybe that would help. So there's like, even being completely cynical about it, there's good business reasons to make your games more diverse, and they're not.
And if there wasn't, then these let's be fucking straight here. If there wasn't, these companies wouldn't be doing it anyway. Do you know what I mean? Let's be completely honest here.
No, because I think with any company that goes woke, whether it's like Bud Light working with the queer influencer, I can't remember her name, or companies like Nike getting behind sports stars taking the knee, like every single one of those decisions is all of the pros and cons in terms of like the bottom line, in terms of profitability, like, and shareholder value, like everything's been considered. So companies will only go down that woke diverse route if they've worked out that it will be more profitable for them.
Totally. That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Because there's that really good H-Bomber Guy video, wasn't there, where I think it was H-Bomber Guy, where he talked about how like so many people when people sort of performatively will be like, because like Nike
it's like,
standards, it's like, I'm going to throw out my Nike trainers, and then like statistically most of them go out and buy a new pair of Nike trainers after filming a video of them setting theirs on fire. Like, it's just absolutely insane. But like you say, the companies know that people do this and they sort of count on it. Bizarre.
Right.
Shall we move on?
Yes.
The New York Times have taken down a GitHub repository. I think it was a GitHub one, where basically someone figured out, like, basically created the tools to make Wordle clones, right? Basically saying, here's how you make a Wordle, right? Because we've had like tons of spin-offs, and lots of them have been pretty good. So this one was called Reactal, and basically so they put online the tools to make your own, and there's been 1900 spin-offs, right, or forks as they call them, and basically because the original Reactal has received a DMCA takedown notice, so that has to go. All the forked ones do as well. So basically, they've just killed 1,900 potential Wordle sort of clones / homages / and I just think that's fucking gross. Like,
I think you're bearing the lead here, aren't you, Sean? Who's Reactal created by?
Oh, I didn't get. Oh, sorry. Yes, It's created by Chase Wackerfuss.
Chase Wackerfuss. Incredible.
That's not a real name.
Incredible name.
They have definitely messaged us at some point. They've definitely.
I think next week we'll definitely get some feedback.
That's James's gamer tag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any of these like sort of spin-offs like hurting the original Wordle, or if they do, then that's Wordle's fault for not innovating and improving. And like if I haven't played Wordle for years at this point. Is it just the same, or is it?
I don't know where I sit with it really.
I mean, bear in mind they didn't come up with Wordle.
No, but they paid money for it.
I
Didn't
guess
they? So
it.
they're
But even the
protecting
creators
their
of
IP, I
Wordle,
guess.
like it's not an original idea. Like it's been around for ages.
No, I guess not. I guess not. No, I guess you're right. And it's one of those things as well. It's like when Freeze came out, that spawned a load of clones
Yeah.
and Vampire Survivors.
But
which is
the
a
Threes
shitty
one's
part.
different, right? Because isn't there one that is literally just a rip-off of Threes, which is called something else?
There's
They all are.
two,
There's loads of them.
2048.
Yeah, it's 048. You got even
that's
just ones done with pictures and stuff like where they just match.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
I think it's pretty bad to just clone games like that. But also I do kind of think I don't know where I sit with it. I really don't know where I sit with it. I see both sides of the argument.
I think I remember something similar came up years and years and years ago, and I just remember someone making the point like, where would we be now if in 1985 Nintendo like copyrighted everything about how Super Mario Brothers worked? And we're like, right, 2D platformer, we own that now. Like, I don't think you could like necessarily like copyright that. I think it's probably too vague. But say they could, how many games would we have missed out on? How many decent games would we have missed out on? Like, I think you have to allow. I think you're right. Like, just blatantly ripping things off is obviously bad. But I think there's an element of like, but a lot of people learn by copying some stuff and then doing their own take on it, and
it would have also forced innovation, though. Surely, I mean, we'll never know, but it surely would have forced, if that were to be the case, it would have forced people to actually think.
I think a lot of innovations come from experimenting with existing forms and then twisting them, and that's usually how you end up with new stuff. There's very little that's like truly 100% original out of the box.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting story.
I haven't done a word on
No,
it
it is.
years.
It's an interesting story. I just don't know which side I fall on. Like, it's so difficult. If someone made here's how you make a TCGS episode clone, and then there were 1,000 successful podcasts out of it, I think I'll have something to say, Sean, is what I mean.
I mean,
well,
I would.
None of these were. I don't think any of these were like making a fortune or anything. I don't
No.
think any of them
I mean, if
it's
it's
a living from Wordle.
I mean, if it's like 1900, like the vast majority of those are going to be like just incredibly low
Just pet projects.
rip-offs.
Yeah.
Someone just messing around with something to just learn coding or learn how to do something. Some of them will just be incredibly low effort rip-offs just to try and jump on the bandwagon. But yeah, there's bound to be some in there though who are doing something new and interesting with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
SAG-AFTRA, the actors union, obviously they were on strike for quite a while recently. They might be again because I remember that when this, when everyone was like, "Oh, deal's been reached, that's brilliant, strike's off, brilliant," and then there was a lot of like, "No, hang on, like the use of AI in video games is still like not at all covered by the agreement." So yeah, there might now be a strike about that as well. Basically, protecting actors' rights with regards to the use of AI voice work in games. So yeah, that's. I mean,
is it the same union that are going on strike?
I believe so. Yeah. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it's the entire union goes on strike. I assume it must be, right? I think.
Do you know what?
So all the movie stars are like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd love to know how
because
many
of
of
the
those
games.
movie
We're gonna make
stars
June
are
3,
going,
fuck you.
who gives a shit about it? Like,
Yeah.
do you know what I mean? I guarantee there's a fair few of those movie stars that were striking all the way through this, going, yeah, we need our rights. And then going, we got to go back. I can't work again. Why? Because of the new Call of Duty game, is it? I'd love to know where the snobbery comes in, because it at 100% does.
Duty, mate.
Yeah, 100%.
big
100%
news.
Go out and get some fresh air, you nerds. I've got a job to. I've got a movie to promote.
It's very serious. Matt, what's going on, Sarah?
Sorry, I just
Someone breaking in?
no, I just hit my can and
You really are taking the role of James Farley, aren't you?
Oh no, you haven't
Oh
spilled
no,
it, have you?
I am. No, it's fine.
Did James tell you to do that? He's like, just do what I do, Sarah. Here's some
You
tips.
just said, just go and fuck them up.
Just
No,
get
it's
banging
definitely
the desk.
fine.
Have you dropped
Do
monster
you need to
drink
clean up
all
before
over
we carry
your?
on?
No, there's like a tiny
take-
bit.
Okay.
Tell you what.
Is your
Just
PC
keep
half
that-
monster right now?
No, I am just gonna carry on. I'm just gonna go get a tissue and
Okay.
just
No
very
worries.
slightly clean up the little spill because it is only a little spill.
Okay, I imagine it's not a
Um,
little spill; it is everywhere.
Yeah, it's so big that her camera's going to start filling up like she's underwater.
Yeah.
Like the no surprises video. Just
Yeah. Like Sonic where she has to get like an air bubble. Like,
What was that bit? What was the
is that not the sound when you
No.
run out of oxygen?
No, it's really horrible. The drowning sound in Sonic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
horrible.
it's horrible.
Last
That's what Sarah was
news
doing.
story, and it's a brief one, but an exciting one. So, the Super Mario Kart Lego is happening in 2025.
I hope
However,
it's better than.
that's about all we know.
I hope it's better than what's it Lego, the Animal Crossing Lego, which I saw for the first time.
Is it shit?
Oh God, it's really it's really just cobbled together out of parts from other sets. You know.
Really? That bad?
Oh look, it's the balloon from the Up House, and it's like, you know, it was really. We looked at it the weekend, and I just went, that could be any little hut. This does not, but the characters look like the Animal Crossing characters, of course, but the actual buildings and stuff, I was like, this is shit.
Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, but the Mario Kart stuff, yeah, come on, all over that. That sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, from the very vague, so there's like a short video they put on Twitter, and probably TikTok. I don't know. I'm nearly 40. It looks like basically, yeah, your Lego Mario will sit on the cart. What it does beyond that, no idea. And yeah, so that's out in 2025.
I bet it says let's go.
They better, hadn't you?
Yeah, otherwise I get my money back.
Yeah, Harry built his question mark block Lego thing that he got for his birthday. And I didn't know that the Lego Mario works with it. You put it in it, it starts playing N64 sound effects. That was really good. Love all that.
They also announced there's going to be a Super Mario Brothers movie sequel. I thought they had already done that, but
because I saw that in the news. I wondered about putting it in, but I think it's just one of those we all just assumed there was going to be another one because why wouldn't there be?
yeah, and also the post-credit scene basically implies that. But yeah, they have now only today or on Mario Day confirmed that there is a sequel
Well,
out
I
in
mean,
2026. Man,
oh, I thought it would have been next year, to be honest with you.
It's quite
Interesting.
It's a bit of a wait, that isn't it?
Yeah, I thought they would have already started this like years before the Mario movie came out, which they probably did, to be fair.
they haven't even
but-
bought a Mario by 26. They should probably get out quick before
Grown
the
out of it.
appeal runs out.
All right. Well, there's a prediction from Matt. I can't wait for your predictions that year. Mario dead.
Yeah, you'll never. Yeah, remember
Bored of
remember that plumber? No, because no one gives a fuck anymore.
That's it for news.
Okay. All right. So let's get to what you've been playing, shall we? And let's start with the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth chat because Matt barely spoke about it last. How much more have you played this, Matt?
I mean, not that much actually. I've had a busy week.
How
I'm
much more?
I'm only still in the grasslands area, like collecting all that the side quests and
How
stuff,
far
so-
into that is that, Sarah? What we
Chapter
6 hours. Chapter 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say chapter 2 or 3.
Okay.
Yeah, still 2.
Let's get the chat out of the way because Matt has said several times that he doesn't understand Final Fantasy VII. I'm going to put a time limit on this. I'm not going to tell you what that time limit is until until it's up. But Matt, you
Time
get
in
to
for
ask-
questions or for answers because questions will be short. The
right?
answers may not.
Okay, so Matt's got a ton of questions about the Final Fantasy VII plot. Is that right, Matt? And the differences
no,
between
I've got some
the
about-
original and the new. Is this right?
I'm not
What
going to ask
you
too much
got?
about the original because one, I haven't finished playing it, and two, that's just going to be mad spoilers for the rest of this game. But my questions
Yeah.
relate to what I should or shouldn't know at this point, starting Rebirth essentially. And I'm
Okay,
going to start
let's
with who
go.
the fuck is Zach?
Who's Zach?
How? So hang on. Have you not come? How far are you through the original game?
Man, it's been a while since I played it. I'm on disc 2, so I'm past that moment. And I can't remember what location I'm in. But
Yeah.
see, some people said, Matt, you're probably more confused
Zach
because you're playing the original, you played remake, which is different. Now you're playing Rebirth, which changes things even further. So if I maybe finished all the original, maybe I know exactly where I could or could not be. Whereas right now I'm like in between 3 types of stories.
So so I had a feeling that the Zach thing would come up. And it's kind of a tough one to answer because it will give spoilers for Rebirth, regardless of what regardless of what they do with the story in Rebirth. Saying too much about Zach will spoil a lot of Rebirth. So basically, Zach is an old friend of Cloud's from their time in Soldier. So around the time when Cloud was sort of working with Sephiroth, long before all the events of Final Fantasy VII. He's basically an old, very, very, very good friend of Cloud's.
Right.
He is dead long before the events of Final Fantasy VII start.
Oh, okay.
Matt says okay, doesn't mean it. That is a complete...
At the start of Rebirth,
on,
where you see him and Cloud, I'm like, okay, so when did that happen?
Brilliant.
So, you didn't play the intermission DLC, did you?
I did.
Okay. So
and yet
I don't remember. Fucking
did you complete it?
Yes, I did.
Sarah's got a flow chart in front of her.
If this, then
in
that.
front of her, and she's
so
going,
there
right,
is.
So he does it, but he doesn't. Oh God! I think he might just be a fucking idiot, actually.
So there is a cutscene at the end of intermission where it cuts back to like the original group, showing them like leaving Midgar.
Yeah. Because it basically has like a slightly different ending, doesn't it? And a modified ending of remake.
It's
right?
it's like a slightly extended.
Yes.
Ending. Yeah. And then it will cut to a scene with Zach, and I thought at the time they were changing the story so that Zach was still alive. That is very much not the case. The scenes with Zach are a alternate timeline. Where that's going and how that ties into the rest of the story, I don't know yet. I don't know what it's doing with that.
So remake, that's alternate timelines, right?
Not necessarily.
But okay, so
you
is
could,
it just
for those of you not watching the video version of the show, Matt is crying at the moment. He's he's got tears running down his face.
He's got like a vein on his forehead that's like
yeah.
You could almost view it as the original Final Fantasy VII being one telling of the story, and then a remake being an alternate version of those events. Because what I think, because obviously you have the whispers,
yes,
the like swishy black things.
I was going to ask what they were as well, but
so I have a theory about those. So they do come back quite considerably in Rebirth, but not. You probably won't have seen them yet. So they are very much they are referred to. I think Red 13 calls them like arbiters of fate. And especially in remake, you notice that they will turn up and they will like block your path and block you going from certain directions. So the way
I can work out they're helping or hindering, really, because
the way I interpreted it is they are trying to make sure that the events of the original game, they are trying to make sure that remake and rebirth happen the same way as it did in the original game. So essentially, they are essentially trying to push you in certain directions and to basically make sure that the story that we know happens.
But that's not something
is
the
that
characters
like an
know. The characters just see
interesting-
him as like
No,
an entity in the
no,
world.
no, no.
But we,
There's-
as a player and or someone might listen to a podcast or read something, we know that because of what maybe the director said, or has that been explicitly told, or is that implied, or a theory?
That is my theory based on media literacy. Because
Okay,
my
You win.
kind of slightly meta theory is that they represent fans of the
Yes,
original
I
game
was gonna say.
wanting. Yeah, the way I almost kind of read it is the Whispers are almost like fans being like, no, you can't change the story, you can't change the characters. Remake has to be exactly the same as it was. But it's the way the kind of characters are like, no, we make our own fate, we're gonna fight against what the Whispers are wanting us to do. That's almost kind of like the directors being like, no, we're going to do something different with this story. And that's why I've been so excited for Rebirth, because it was like, okay, if my theory and my interpretation is right, they can do some really, really quite different stuff. And potentially that's what they're doing with this alternate timeline with Zach. Quite where, like I said, like, I mean, I'm 45 hours in. I'm in like chapter 9 or 10. I still don't know where they're going with this story. And that's why I've kind of not really read or looked into much. And like, even before the game came out, it's why I wasn't really reading previews or interviews or anything like that, because like, I really don't want spoilers at this point.
Okay, my next question is involving kind of like either bits of static or kind of like there's glitches at certain points where certain story moments have been revealed, at least in these early kind of few cutscenes. Like, are we supposed to know what that is?
Not yet.
Is that a bit okay?
Not yet.
Do you know what it? Given you play more, so you know. Okay, so that is revealed.
Yeah. Not. It is
Or
not
implied.
revealed. It is not revealed in Rebirth, but if you have played the original, you will know what that is in reference. Well, what I believe it is in reference to.
Okay, interesting.
But if you
that just makes me angry. This was my biggest problem with the first. What was it called? The first one.
Remake.
The remake one. It was just like someone sent me an article about the writers on that and said, well, what did you feel about the reaction to people that hadn't played the original, when the cat shows up? What's your what's your, like, people were like freaking out about not knowing this character, and the reply was, we sort of forgot to explain that in the first.
Wait,
like,
hang on.
Hang on. Laughing, yeah? Yeah, go on, sorry.
What do you mean by cat? Do you mean Red 13?
No,
it means
Kate Sith. Right?
Kate Sith, yeah.
Kate Sith isn't.
Didn't
He's in one scene in
in
remake, isn't that the?
Yeah, he's in one scene in remake for no reason.
You just kind of
made
runs
me
into shot,
so
and then
angry.
That's it. Like,
That was my tap out.
No, he's obviously much expanded on. And you do get him in your party. He's not a cat.
Well, he looks like one. Does he? Have you got the English dub on? Do you use the English? What accent has the cat got? Because in my head, he's Scottish. Oh
yeah,
wow! In my head, he's like New York. I can't believe we're here, guys.
There is a reason for the Scottish accent. So the character name Kate Sith is there is a creature in Scottish folklore called the Kate Sith, but it's not pronounced that way in Gaelic. I can never remember which is the correct pronunciation. But the correct way to pronounce the creature from folklore is Catchy. So a lot of people are like, cool that you've given it a Scottish accent. And I did look the actor up. He is actually a Scottish actor, which is incredibly rare for Scottish accents in games. But yeah, a few people are like a bit annoyed that they didn't use the proper pronunciation of his name. But win some, you lose some.
That's a cat, isn't it? that a cat?
It's
I'm
clearly
assuming
not.
Sarah's being vague for spoiler reasons and not just.
Yeah,
Okay.
he is.
Twist.
Yeah,
It's actually
Alright,
a dog.
okay.
It's a dog
yeah.
and a cat
There is,
outfit.
there is,
The zip.
Yeah.
there is a lot more going on
It's
with
actually a
that
Welsh
character.
dog.
Any more
Okay.
questions, Matt?
And no, I mean, I
Oh,
guess I will say, even with all this, I'm
I
still
don't know
fascinated.
what the fuck
I'm still
is
fascinated by
going
the
on.
game, even though I'm trying to barely piece it together. And actually, I think this is so much more interesting than them just doing a shot-for-shot remake. Like this has got so much more conversation about what is and what isn't happening. I think one of the directors may have said that recently in an interview, but that's just so much more interesting, surely, than just exactly the
100%.
same, but in better resolution. This is like, where they're going to go, what can they fix, what will they want to change, not want to change. The fans, like you, are guessing all the way. That's got to be surely much more interesting for the fandom and for everyone playing the game as well.
I mean, yeah, for me, it's when I got to the end of remake, and then even more so when I got to the end of the intermission DLC, and you see Zach, basically it's essentially the way I'm looking at it now is like, I don't know where they're going with this. Like, I've played the original. I've also, I've seen Advent Children. I've played Crisis Core. I've played Dirge Cerberus. So like the sort of extended lore of the world as well, I'm also fairly familiar with. So to now be playing a remake and to sit here and go, yeah, I don't know what they're doing with the story. They have written it in a way that allows them to change it quite considerably. Yeah, like
That
it's
seems
so
way
good.
more
It's
interesting than
100%. 100%. Like, it's, I mean, when I was in the same sort of area as Matt, like that first Grasslands, I did all of the sort of open world, ticking off all the boxes and stuff.
Yeah, I know I'm going to do that myself.
The further I've got into it, the less I've been doing that, because now the story's really started to pick up, and so now I'm just like, I need to get through the story now.
Yeah, before it's sport as well.
Yeah, also that, because I've seen one fairly small spoiler, and I'm like, that's enough. Like, but yeah, it is brilliant.
Yeah. So Sean, what was that thing you suggested last week? And you're like, I wonder if what was that thing you said?
Oh yeah, I was saying I thought I'd heard that like some characters in remake were like aware of the original game's events and were either trying to work against it, or that's not true though, is it?
The whispers to a certain extent.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, kind of. I don't know if it's just necessarily like, I don't know if it's necessarily like they are aware of this other timeline or this other way things play out. I don't know if that's the case, but yeah, it very much seems like, yeah, the whispers are very much trying to make things play out in a certain way, which could be interpreted as, yeah, the events of the original game.
Cool.
Awesome. Yeah, it's just been a bit of a mad busy week. So, but I think I should have more time next week. But I said that for about last like 6 months. But so yeah, I barely played as much as I'd like to play. But so you're how many 45 hours in are you, Sarah? How many of the mini games are you enjoying? Because I hear a lot about the mini games, the good ones, the bad ones, and there have actually been so many. It's actually overwhelming, and you can maybe spend 3/4 of your time just doing the mini games. Then
yeah, I mean, in terms of like mini games that you can go back to, like there's a lot of segments where, rather than it happening in like a cutscene, it's like, okay, you have this like little kind of interactive like mini game type thing. Once you get to the golden saucer, that's when there's a whole bunch of mini games that you can just go back to and play.
I can't wait to get there. I mean, that looked great, even on the Switch version.
The intro kind of cutscenes to the gold saucer are incredible. If you enjoyed the honeybee in wall market stuff, if you enjoyed that, you will absolutely fucking love the gold saucer. Like there's one cutscene in the gold saucer that just, I was like, this is 100% worth the money. I'd already said that about 10 hours prior with the whole Junon sequence.
Oh yeah,
did the whole Junon sequence, and I was like, cool, that is worth my 70 quid that I paid for this. And then got to the gold saucer and I was like, oh no, wait, this is even better. So there's a few cutscenes. There's like a kind of space shooter where you're like a little spaceship and you're shooting enemies. There's like a very, very kind of basic beat 'em up. There's one where you can also go back and like redo the bike chase scenes from the first game.
There's a Rocket League style one, isn't it? They're talking about on remap. Like, have you got to that yet?
Yes. Basically, it's you take control of Red 13, and you're playing against like a chocobo. There's like a couple of dogs. There's like some other enemies. So you're basically fighting against like different like animals to kind of play football. It's like it's like a doggy daycare thing, and yeah, you're like Red 13 playing football with like a chocobo and some other animals.
Nice.
There will be a snowboarding game, but that will unlock later.
Okay.
But the best thing is
I remember that
is the chocobo racing. The chocobo racing is basically it's Mario Kart. You can
that is quite a claim.
Better than Mario Kart, actually. Is that what you're saying?
Oh, I definitely wouldn't say better, but you unlock a bunch of different chocobos as you go throughout the world. Like each open world area has its own chocobo. Each one's got different stats. You can also buy different like outfits for them. So it's like you can have like a different headpiece, different chest piece, different like feet piece, and they will give your chocobo different stats, different abilities, and then it's like full-fledged like races. Chocobos can drift, so you can do the kind of Mario Kart style drifts around corners. Yeah, chocobo racing's brilliant. It's so good.
Brilliant. So 45 hours in, like how are you enjoying this, or how's it compared to a remake? Is it better in every way?
Yeah, I would say so, because the thing I found with remake is, yeah, absolutely loved it, but I mean, story wise, it is obviously only, it's the opening of the original game. I say opening, it's the whole first disc. Like, it is still a real big chunk. But then it just opens up so much more once you get out of Midgar. So, into Rebirth, like the story just opens up so much more. It gets so much more complex after this point. Obviously, we get so many more characters. So, obviously, Red 13 wasn't playable in Remake. He is now in Rebirth. You also get, obviously, Yuffie, Kate Sith, Vincent comes in later on. I think we get Sid in our party. I'm not sure if he actually goes into your party or whether you just meet him a lot. Yeah, obviously, so much more to do, because the thing I found with Remake is I really, really enjoyed it, but it did feel very linear, and there wasn't really much else to go and do. But obviously in Rebirth, there is, some people have obviously said it's maybe a little bit too much, it's maybe a little bit too bloated, but for someone like me that likes having so much more to do in an RPG than just the main story, it's great. And yeah, as I said, like with Remake, Remake obviously has spent a lot of time introducing you to the characters, whereas Rebirth really can then just start to develop those characters. And yeah, like they're amazing. Obviously Aerith, at this point, it's not a spoiler of the original game to say Aerith dies. Everyone knows that. It's like saying that Mufasa dies in The Lion King. Everyone knows it.
So
I was going to watch that too.
Spoiler. But obviously, with what could be changed, I don't know if they're going to kill Aerith in this. I kind of swing back and forth. Before I started playing, I was like, I don't think they will, because it would be a huge... At this point, I don't know. If they do, it is going to break my heart into a million pieces if she dies in this one, because I've just like so fallen in love with her. She's just wonderful, because it's like, just like, obviously the voice acting's brilliant, but the animation as well. I keep getting these moments where I'm like, they actually animated that. It'll be things like characters will just make like really subtle eye movements that just add it. Like, yeah, there's just kind of so much. Oh, also, you mentioned on the topic of mini games, you mentioned Queen's Blood.
Yes. Yeah.
Queen's Blood is the greatest. I desperately want a game. I just release Queen's Blood. Just release Queen's
on
Blood.
mobile or a separate
put
thing.
Put it on mobile. Make it multiplayer. I will pay a lot of money for that. It's brilliant. It's so good.
Well, you're not the first person to say that, so it would surely be well in their interest to get it done.
Hopefully.
Sarah,
yeah.
would it annoy you to know that I know whether Aerith dies in this game or not?
No, it wouldn't annoy me.
Got that in my brain. I've got that in my brain right now.
I don't
look
care
it
if you
up,
know.
just
don't.
Just Google
There's loads of people that know. Just don't tell me or don't like imply anything, and we'll be fine.
So, do you know if how far into the original story this second game goes?
No.
So this could take you right the way to the end of the story. You wouldn't.
We know there's 3 parts, right? We know there's one more.
Yeah, I have.
Right, you do know there's one more. Okay.
I have a feeling where this ends.
Tonight's gonna be a good night. Tonight, and that's a nice way to end this segment, isn't it?
Well, just for in terms of the third one, right? I got one more thing. Like, we don't know the name of the third one, but I've got a feeling it's surely gonna be Reunion. Okay, is that known or
no?
Because even playing the original, they say Reunion so many times. Surely that's the name of the third part. Reunion.
It's I don't know if it's confirmed, but it's got to be. It's got to be at this point.
Yeah.
Surely.
It's kind of annoying because remake. It's like they must have changed for they wouldn't have called it remake. I don't think if they'd known about this 3-part or 3 because that
because remake's very literal, whereas the other side they're going to be thematic rather than.
It just feels like such a shit name now.
Redone.
It could be thematic.
It could be okay.
Because if you think remake sticks quite closely to the original story, so it is pretty much just a remake. Rebirth, if you want to get really wanky and pretentious with it, you could say it's almost because it's obviously Zack's alive kind of in another timeline.
So it's birth new timelines.
Yeah, or also, it could be where, this is where things will kind of start to diverge a lot more. So it's almost like a new thing, new beginning. Reunion could maybe be where things start to kind of converge.
Come back together.
Who knows? But yeah, I mean, it's it definitely makes remake kind of stand out as having the weakest name.
Yeah, there's get remake, and fuck, hang on, let's call them cool names, and no, hang on, this is
cool names.
Cool
I
names.
do believe though I sung Tonight's Gonna Be a Good Night by the Black Eyed Peas, which again ended this segment. So I don't know why we're still talking about Final Fantasy VII. I don't know who you two think you are.
Talk about.
So wait, are you ever going to get this finished, Matt?
Yes, I've just been very busy.
But give him a few years.
Yeah,
I'll be fine.
You say that, but you've got another game written down.
Well, I played a little bit of Balatro because it reappeared on the Switch eShop, and I was like, I better buy that.
It's still an 18, but it is back up.
Well, I didn't get ID. That's fine.
Okay, cool.
Just bought it.
He is 18.
I wasn't asked once.
You can't do him for that. You can't do him for that. Have you played this, Sarah, Balatro?
Not yet. I've heard really, really, really good things. Like how integral is it? Knowing
no,
not at all.
Poker hands.
I'm shit at poker.
No.
It's,
well,
the
you need
reference
to know the
stuff is
poker
all
hands,
there
but they're all in the game for you.
You just press select or the minus button, and they pop up, and there's loads of
cool
tool tips. You won't need to.
This is the thing about poker as well. You don't need you need to know the poker hands, but you're not. It's not about can you spot the poker hands or can you work out the poker hands? It's what the fuck has that prick got, and is it better than what I've got? That's poker.
But you need to know if what you've got is any good.
Yeah. So when I play, I play a lot of poker, right? And whenever I play poker, there's always, well, not always, but mostly there'll be someone there that doesn't know how to play poker, and you just bring up the poker hands for them because it's not cheating. Like, everyone needs to know the poker hands for it to be a good game of poker.
It's like fighting games, isn't it? Like fighting at someone who doesn't know what the moves are and being like, no, you can't have a cheat sheet. Like, what?
Yeah,
then you're going to win. Well done.
Like... It's not even that. It's like, it might as well be Uno. or
now that's a card game.
Poker could work if there's a card and it's just who's got the highest card. That the idea of poker and the concept of poker works around that. It's just who's got the high. You each get 3 cards, and you've got to work out who's got the highest card. Well, I've got a king here, so I'm going to bet quite high, and I hope they haven't got an ace. But the way they've bet, I think they might have this. That's all it is, right? But John Denton asked me last night, because he doesn't play poker much. He said, "Do I need to know poker to play Balatro?" And the answer is absolutely not. Like, you just don't. You need to know the poker hands, but they're in the game anyway. You can work them out. But even then, there are tons of situations in this game. So I've been playing Balatro a lot over the weekend, and I'll go into whether I like it or not in a bit. A lot of people were saying you should download it, David. You like poker. I could see why they did that, because it's sort of the key to understand cards, right?
Because to be clear, like, I know I said I thought you would like it, but it's not so much, oh, you like poker, therefore you will like this. Just
Right.
It's thematically, it's probably the best way in you'll have to this sort of game.
There's
I know you're
like,
like allergic to fantasy stuff and what have you.
There's no elves and dragons on it.
Right. And I think it also helps that a card has. All right, it gets a little bit more complicated, but not that much more complicated. Like, when I play deck building games, or have tried deck building games in the past, you'll have a card, and on that card there will be 5 stats, and on that stat you can add a buffer to that card, and that's when I just go, oh, I can't. Am I doing it right? I don't care anymore. I'm done. I've lost all interest. Whereas in the main part with this, a card represents what that score is. You know what I mean? And there are modifications on there, but when you go to that card, it tells you what the mods are. And there's only like maybe 2 maximum.
Is that multiplier or what's the other one?
Yeah, you can multiply your score or the card's worth, and it can have like an effect that has an impact on the hand that you're playing. In fact, actually, knowing poker as well as I do is a bit of a hindrance to start with, because in poker you play 5 cards always. In the version I play Texas Hold'em, right? You always play 5 cards. So when it was like, no, you can just play 2 for a pair.
You pay a pair,
you can keep the rest of them. You're like, oh right, okay, so that's not poker at all then, is it? As far as I know it, I know there are various rule sets to poker, so but you know, the one that I play, I fucking love it. I think it's really addictive. I think it's really good fun. I have one caveat that I think it's misguided, because I don't think I've played enough of it. And what I mean by that is, as Sean explained last week when he was talking about Balatro, his explanation of the game was bang on. There are 3 levels to each sets of levels, if you want to look at it that way. It's sort of ever rotating, really, but it's presented to you as a small blind, a big blind, and a boss, right? And the small blind and the big blind, they're just random, not random, they're ever growing targets that you have to hit by playing combinations of cards. The boss has a power, and sometimes that power is, as you mentioned last time, it's cards that you played during this round is you can only play once, or once you've played a hand, you have to keep playing that hand. You know, there are bosses with different sort of mods.
I had one. It's like it's randomly going to take 2 cards away from your cards. So it's like, okay, well, I can't be saving up and working towards a full house. I better try and get it done quick, otherwise those 2 cards could be taken from me.
Yeah, and that one in particular is a really good example of a boss fight done well, right? I really like that. That's
it's enough to wrong foot you, but not like, oh well, your deck doesn't work now, haha.
Yeah, that's my only problem with the game, Sean. And you'll be more experienced in this than me, but there are a few bosses there where it goes, haha, you can't do it. And you go, now there's part of me going, no, you know what that boss is going to be 2 rounds before you get to it.
Yeah.
Is that enough to counteract what that boss? Because you then have to sell your jokers, get new jokers in, and try and get around whatever modification that boss has. But there are times where, like just now, I was on a really good run. Like I was getting like 20,000 points for a hand. You know what I mean? And that might sound silly to you because you might be further into it than me. But yeah, like I was like getting 20,000 points for like one. I was like, whoa, what the fuck? This is all working.
Because you had like amazing jokers or something boosting your multiplier.
Brilliant jokers that boosted. Like I was concentrating on straights. I had one joker that gave me like loads of multipliers if I got a straight. I had another joker that says you don't have to have a straight, you can have gaps in the cards, which is like a game changer. Good. I had one that said you only need to play 4 cards for it to be a straight or a flush. So that really made every combination could do it. And then just the multiplier I had, because I had the egg card. The egg card's really cool because you just leave it in your joker thing until you need a space, and every round that you go past it sort of it goes up in value. So by the time I sold it, it was worth like loads. And I also had one that's a card that every time you open a booster pack, if you skipped it, it added to the multiplier, but a multiplier for everything, right? So it was all working, and I was like, holy shit, I'm getting really far. And the next one was like 20,000 points, 30,000 points, and then the boss was like really big blind, 80,000 points. And I was like, but I'm never gonna get there. And I think I got to about for something like that. And I got to like 74,000. I was like, yeah, you're done. And now I think I'm at a stage where the game is expecting me to complete a run, right? Because you can complete a run.
Yeah.
Have you done that?
Yeah, how many episodes of 3 does it take to complete a run?
Is it 8? I think you get to ante 8, and then that's and then from then you can either, once you've won that, you can either go into endless mode, which is not particularly endless because you'll die really quickly if you like. Me.
I bet,
or you can just restart from that point.
And what sort of score totals do you have to get that high? Like, is that one you said 80? No,
top of my head, I can't remember. I mean, because there's that one boss that's just called the Wall, which the boss ability is just that it's just a stupidly high target you have to reach. Doesn't have any ability sort of beyond that. The one that always like most of the bosses, I've sort of come to terms with. I'm like, no, they pissed me off first time, but there's ways around it. The one that still gets me is, I forget what it's called now, but it's every time you play a hand, it lowers the level of that hand, like permanently.
I can't remember that one.
And they can go to 0.
Yeah.
Right? They can just become worthless. And it's so not only is it hard, but it ruins the rest of your run.
Isn't that what Pillar is? Like Pillar is the worst for me because it's just like it's such a fucking slap in the face because you can build up a really cool like deck, and you can build up a really good like set of jokers, and you feel on top of the world because you're beating every target. And it's like, every game that you've played in the last every card that you played in the last 2 blinds, they're worthless now. So you get dealt cards and you've got like 5 worthless cards and 3 ones that you can play.
But then if you knew that boss was coming, you could have just skipped the small and big blind and got whatever the abilities were.
That's what I'm missing.
Yeah. That's
what I'm missing.
There's definitely, you do run into a lot of situations where you're just like, well, this is just unfair. How was I supposed to avoid this? And then you find something else out, or you remember something. Have you got into like repositioning your jokers so that you get the most out of them and your cards as well? So
what
like,
do you mean
so with
the order.
Yeah, so with the multiplier, so I didn't clock this at first. Some things will add to your multiplier, and some things will multiply your multiplier. So you want to get all the additions in first, and then the multipliers at the end. So you multiply based on the
that's
highest.
really good.
Yeah,
that's why I'm at right. It's funny, isn't it? Because this game does artificially boost you. You know, it was one of those things where we were saying last week that you don't carry things over to your next run, and technically you don't. But what you do is when you get to the shop at the end of each round, the stuff that you can buy is always better. Like every time you restart, it's always better. Like I'm at a stage now where most of the jokers that I'm getting are foil cards as well, which give you like a massive boost. Yeah, it's huge. And like the round that I just did where I was absolutely smashing it until the end, 3 of my jokers were foil cards, you know. So they have foil cards have like, regardless of what you've played, will give you a boost of either 50 extra coins or 4 times multiplier or whatever.
Yeah, so the more cards you buy on previous rounds, those increase the power and quality of cards in future rounds.
Yeah, I think it's the further you get into it. Plus, you unlock new decks, which give you a modification at the start of the game. And I think the later decks that you get for completing a round is they've got to be pretty powerful, right?
I don't know if they're more powerful. I think because the first deck you get is it every round or every ante you get like an extra discard, which is useful. And then the second deck you start getting, you can play extra hands each round.
No, I think the first deck is one extra hand. The second deck is one extra what do you call it? Where you can extra discard.
Yeah.
Discard,
and then there's one. I think there's one where you just start with $10, which doesn't sound big, but actually,
you can build up a good set.
Yeah, if you get lucky
away,
with that first shop. I mean, it's a weird one because there are people, like looking on Reddit and stuff. There are people who will just they'll just keep re-rolling that first ante until they get a good one, as they see it. Like they just won't even bother playing if it's not like a really good starting point. Whereas I think most normal people are like, no, just play,
see what happens.
Enjoy it.
I've tapped out of a few though, where I've got like a few antes in and gone, this ain't working. I'll start again. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I would still try and give it a go just to see what crops up and see if I can learn stuff or try new things. It's brilliant. I think the music is absolutely spot on for a game that you're going to be sitting in front of.
It's one track, but it changes a bit depending on. If you're looking at like
the way it slows down and
tarot cards or whatever, and stuff like that. But it's kind of amazing that it's just essentially just one looping track, and I haven't got sick of it yet after like 12 hours or something.
Visually, I love the fact that they've taken on the video poker stuff. It looks like a video poker screen that I've literally played in Vegas. You know what I mean? Like it works so well. I worry that one day they can bring this out on mobile.
Was that? It feels very Inscription.
Does it?
Yeah, I never played Inscription, so.
I think it just like
with the sort of the CRT filter and.
Just even like the use, even the fonts and I don't know, it just feels very Inscription to me.
If they ever bring this out on mobile, in trouble, I think.
That is game over.
Because
I'm surprised
I'm surprised it's not.
Yeah,
it's got to be in the works, right?
You'd have thought.
Has to be.
This seems like standard.
Yeah, I would if it was on mobile, I would have already picked it up.
Yeah,
I mean, you should pick it up anyway. It's fucking brilliant. I
need to say, Dean in the chat said Matt's just sold it for me. Doesn't really look like Inscription. Dean, don't go there too.
Yeah,
that's the first thing I thought when I saw it. I was like,
I am sold on it. It's just I haven't picked it up for the same reason I haven't picked up Helldivers in the Final Fantasy's out. Like I'm not going to be playing anything else, especially as well. Like I suppose I could put it should run on my laptop. My laptop's not great, but it's at the moment it's if I'm at home, which is where I would be to be able to play Balatro. I'm playing Final Fantasy. But if it was on phones, then absolutely.
Yeah.
My family are worried about me though, because there are two buttons.
Gambling in it. I know it says it's an 18, but it's not.
There are two buttons in this game that do opposite things, and they're right next to each other.
I have completely thrown a run doing this.
Yeah.
I've destroyed cards by pressing.
Yeah, you press X to get rid of your cards, and you press Y to play them. And if you press, you can set up your cards and go, right, I'm going to play this, and press X by accident, and it gets rid of something that you think is a really good. And Joe was like, "Are you all right? You've been doing this a lot." Like that. I'll be playing it, and I'm just sitting in the corner on my Switch.
Because sometimes it happens the other way around, which is still bad. But then it's like, you just got high card.
I've done that before. Okay, and the sector these, get rid of them. Back. I don't want to play them. I've also had it where, I think if you press L when you're looking at the jokers, that discards a joker. And I'm like, and I was playing on my couch and I was like, slipped or whatever. I was like, I've just discarded a really good joker.
Oh god, that'd be horrible.
It's tough because I don't know what the answer is, because an undo button would seem too powerful, but it would also annoy me if it was like a long button press to do it.
You're asking why no undo in the chat. It's because when you discard your cards, you get dealt your new cards. So you can go, oh no, I don't like those new cards. I'll undo that. You should not be able to do that. Here's what you do. So you press X to get rid of your cards. You press RZ to play it. So as if you're firing,
just move it away.
You're
from
firing the cards out there. Yeah. You just move, just separate them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
because that's not an option, is it? I don't think you can change that.
I don't think so. I don't think so. But what a game! Yeah, I mean, God, but between Balatro and Helldivers 2, which I'm still smashing the shit out of, this week, getting in. Have you been in a mech yet?
Yeah, I mean that whole thing has been. We need to talk about that, right?
Go on.
Like, is it a live service game? What sort of live service game is it?
The only person asking that was Matt. We all like the answer to it.
It's fascinating how this has the flavour of a live service event, but it's actually quite simple what they did.
Yeah.
It's live service, but just done well.
Yeah, just really sort of efficient.
And I think you guys mentioned about the Game Master. Last
Joel,
week. Yeah. That's it.
Joel, yeah.
It's just a better way of doing it, because I think in the interview I read with him or with the CEO, and they were basically just like, yeah, we got this person in because we didn't want to do what every other live service game does, which is just, it's a Christmas event, it's an Easter event, it's a Halloween event. They wanted to be able to do these different events flexibly and in reaction to what the players are doing. So yeah, it's 100% a live service game. It's just it's just learned a lot of lessons from previous live service games and is doing the live service thing way better.
Yeah. I mean, it's a special game, and I think when I first started playing it, I was going, I can't quite put my finger on why I love it so much. And I'm still kind of there, but it's one of those. It's Ian hasn't been into gaming for a long time. He's not played it, and I was sort of reluctant to say play Helldivers 2, but also I'm telling everyone to play Helldivers 2 because I'm loving it so much. So he said, "Okay, well I've bought it. I'll see how it goes." I played with him the other night. He pulled down a mech, got in it, started shooting it, and just went, "This is amazing!" And I thought, it really is, isn't it? It is.
So the mechs. So basically, what happened this week was, I mean, we knew they were coming. There'd been hints. I think people had come across them in game as well.
That's right. There was that day where they started. What was the planet called?
Tianquan. That was it.
Tianquan.
And they tweeted this like poster, which was like this poster of advertising the mechs, but with this thing on it, basically saying like, we've got to take the planet so we can get the mechs back. Like, this is where all the mechs are built, and we've lost control of the planet. So then it was like a day or two where everyone's just like, oh my god, we've got a free Tianquan so we can get the fucking robots.
And we were all texting each other in earnest, going, right, we need to get to Tianquan because this is if the automatons end up with them,
nonsense, because obviously the community at large is doing that already. They didn't need us to turn up and save the day. That wasn't going to happen.
Apparently,
but it's fun to pretend.
Yeah, exactly. It's enough of an illusion that
yeah.
Well, apparently the players unlocked the mechs 4 times quicker than the devs were expecting.
Wow.
Well, I mean,
to the point
it,
to the point where so many mechs are now getting called in that it's putting another load on the servers.
Well, yeah. So on the night where we liberated Tianquan, and then that night was the first time where we've had trouble getting back in again into the game since those first couple of weeks. And they basically, so it turned out you have to be like level 25 to be able to get the stratagem to call in a mech, which I don't think I know anyone who's that high. But
no.
But I don't know if it was just for the weekend or if it's still going, but they were like, look, everyone gets 1 per mission for a bit. So yeah, we were just doing missions, just all 4 of us just stomping around. It's the funniest thing ever. It's so good.
They're so good. They feel so powerful as well, especially for like the bug missions where you're just like blowing up nests with your rocket launchers as well. It's so good. But the bullshit war stuff around it is just so much fun to buy into. It's helping. All the social media reaction to it is helping as well. Like, I don't know if you've seen, there's a bit of a TikTok trend where someone's gone, girls, ask. I mean, it's a bit sexist, because girls, ask your husband or boyfriend about Helldivers 2 and record their reaction. You know, a little bit like the how often do you think about the Roman Empire thing?
Yeah.
And it's just so fun. What? Can you explain Helldivers 2 to me? And they turn around and go, right, there's this war, right, between Super Earth and going into the detail of it. And I'm like, I'm so there for all this horse shit. I fucking love it. And when we were texting each other about getting the mechs back, Sean, and I knew Matt and James were sitting there going, I just want to be part of this.
Yeah, because even James was like, oh, this does sound quite good, actually.
Yeah.
You should, Matt. You should be a part of this. This is so much fun.
There's other things to play or not play.
This blows my mind, because I thought this would have just been you. Like, I thought you would have just been like, I need to be part of this conversation.
It's criminal that the four of us have not done a stream of this.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
So good.
We should be streaming this every night. I want to play it every night. I love it so much, this game.
The missile thing we were talking about today, Dave.
This is a very good example of something that I think they've done on purpose, right? So one of the very early, after the game had come out, so there's a mission where you go to a missile and you do some tasks around a computer that's overlooking the missile. And once you finish a task, a big missile comes up from the ground, and while it's coming up, you're getting attacked, so you got to defend it a bit. And then if you make it to the end, the rocket goes up and then goes off, and then there's this huge nuke goes off at the right in the distance. And you said, as Matt said, it's a little bit like that scene in Iron Man, you know, where he's showing off the warheads and it, you know. So there was a video of two Helldivers standing on the platform and hugging as it launches up to the air, and then it explodes, right? And that sort of went viral. Well, I didn't know that Sean had done this weekend as well, but Sean did exactly the same as me this weekend, him and his friends. And I was playing with a random, and we set off the code, and it was just about to launch, and me and a random did a fist bump, that sort of explosion fist bump thing. And as we did that, the rocket launched, and we just exploded in the sort of flames of the launch. And I was like, that's not supposed to happen, because I've seen that video. And Sean sent me a video today. I didn't tell him about this, but Sean sent me a video today of you guys doing something similar.
Well, a friend of mine wanted to stand right by the rocket.
I saw this on Twitter, the video.
And he was like, oh yeah, let's see what happens. I wonder if that kills you. And we all stood from what we assumed was a very safe distance. And as it sets off, we all just got blown backwards and died immediately. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen.
And
but
my
but
theory
it's and like you say, you then get thinking, is that because they are watching stuff that's happening on social media and just being like, if we just tweak a value on this, we can fuck this up.
I'm so sure that's what they done. They saw that everyone was doing this stupid fucking thing from this video that went viral, and they just thought, right, let's up the explosion radius of the rocket, because then we're going to get tons of videos of people just blowing up on the, you know what I mean? Genius. I love Helldivers. If you're not playing it, then God, it's... I was listening to Nextlander talking about it, and they just said, look, I know they don't have to, and I know they shouldn't just do it because Microsoft are doing it, but just release it on Xbox, please. This is the one.
Yeah. This is the closest I've been PS5 wise. If I did not have a PC, or if it didn't have crossplay, this would probably be it.
Right.
I'm still struggling because I love it, but don't really like sitting at my PC to play games.
Right.
It's just weird that this is the one that's actually winning.
All the PlayStation exclusives don't mean anything, but this is the one to get it for.
I mean, well, no, because it's on top of that. This is the thing with buying a console, right? Is that, it builds up, doesn't it? You'll have that one that pushes you over the edge, and it may well be Helldivers, but you also think in Astrobot, Spider-Man, Returnal. I mean, Returnal's next to nothing. No, you'll fucking love it. It's really fucking good. There are some good games on that system. You got to see the Titanic bit in Gran Turismo. That is.
I just watched that on YouTube.
No, you don't get
It's
the
not the
full
same.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, Helldivers 2. We will stop talking about it at some point. A couple of games, quick games that I've got on my list that I'll briefly touch on. I got sent a code for Expeditions, a Mudrunner game, which
How is it? 'Cause
you heard of this?
Well, I've been aware of the series and always liked the idea, but just never dove in.
I think you'll love this.
Yeah.
This is a game where you're just plonked in the middle of wilderness, and the mission is to just go and explore the local land, and it looks pretty good, but you can only go at really slow speeds because you're in a truck, and the terrain is absolutely dreadful. And to get through them, you've got to change the gears and change the driving style of your little truck to get through like swamps and stuff. And if you get stuck, you can throw a winch out around a tree and sort of drag yourself through the mud. I kind of fucking love it. I haven't got the patience for it right now. I've played a few missions and really thought, oh, I could get into this, but Sean, you're gonna love this. Like genuinely, there was part of me that was like, oh my god, this feels like it could be my next PowerWash sim, because it's sort of slow and really time consuming with very little. But when you do get there, you're like, holy fuck, I made it up this hill. Look at all that mud. There's some weird stuff. There's some there's some holes that you can fall into. That not literally. There are some development holes that you can fall into. Like in the tutorial, I run out of petrol because I was doing bits of it with Harry, and Harry just kept trading all my petrol away. And there's a bit where it's like, top your tank up, you've run out of petrol. And well, where's all my petrol? Oh yeah, I just put it all in that trading thing, Dad. Brilliant. So now we've got to restart the whole tutorial again. Because I think the devs thought, well, no one's going to give away all their petrol.
No, why would you do that?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, if that sounds of interest, I would probably check it out.
That does sound really
because it does sound really. Mate, you'll love it, Sean. I'm almost certain. Also, am I the only one that's played Princess Peach Showtime demo?
Yeah, sorry, I've downloaded it, and then Isaac wanted to go on it, so I sort of I had to leave him to it while I made dinner.
What did Isaac say?
I mean, he loved it, but he's sick.
Did he?
So, you know.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah.
I didn't make it to the end of the demo, Sean.
Really? That bad?
Yeah. You know when you play a game and go, oh no, this isn't it. It just feels cheap.
Yeah.
It feels really, really cheap. Like it feels really like, oh, this is not a Nintendo game at all, is it? And
well, there's been this back and forth about who actually made it, right? And apparently Nintendo have said you'll have to wait and see the credits.
Wow.
It's weird.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But everyone's saying basically they think Goodfeel made it.
Yeah,
and they're responsible
that's the
for
rumor.
like Yoshi's Woolly World and.
Well, Yoshi's Woolly World was fantastic.
Yeah, that was all right. Kirby's Epic Yarn was decent as well.
This just feels really cheap and horrible. Like it really does, and it sucks because they're, especially off the back of the movie. There needs to be a good Princess Peach game, right? Do you remember the one on the DS? It was just embarrassing. And now you've got this, and Super Princess Peach, I think it was called. And it wasn't very good. And now you've got this, and you go, oh, come on. I think things improve a little bit when you get the costume, and you become, but not enough, man. Not enough. It's like, I'll see what the reviews are like when the game comes out. I reckon it will get a lot of 7s, but really, ultimately, it should probably be lower than that based on what I've played so far. I hate playing games like this because you just go, oh, little bit of potential here, and they've done nothing with it. That's the feeling I
Nintendo
get.
are really in they're winding down.
End of the console mode. Just
desperation.
fart out any old rubbish, and
they're done. They are done.
Yeah.
Mind you, James is buzzing about
the
the 1000 Year Door remake, remaster, whatever.
Oh yeah.
But then that's
again,
all
it's
that
the
is, right?
remake and
It's not
remaster stuff, isn't it? Yeah. I don't know. That's
If
all
that's the
I've been
biggie, then we are in trouble.
Have you got anything else, Sean?
I got one more. Oh well, I got two more. One's not a game. I'll do that in a sec. So I'm playing the full game of Unicorn Overlord. It's fucking good. I really like it.
What were you playing before? The early access? Or...
So I was playing the demo
okay.
last week, which, well, so So I was playing the demo on Switch, and yeah, progress from the demo. So you can play the demo for up to 8 hours, and then progress from that carries over into the full game. I then blagged from a mysterious benefactor a code for the Xbox version. And I was like, oh, can I be asked starting again? Yes, for saving 50 quid. Yes, I can. And it turns out, obviously, those 8 hours, when you're skipping all the cutscenes and the tutorials, was more like 4 hours anyway. And even then, I was happy to redo it. So I think I'm now sort of 12 hours in, having already played 8 hours on the demo.
Right.
I absolutely love it. The strategy stuff has just got more and more interesting. It's one of those games, if you like strategy things, or like sort of puzzle-ish elements, where it's like, right, here's my army, I'm trying to like piece it together in the most efficient way possible. I've got this unit that's really good against flying units, this one that's good against magic ones, all that stuff. And it's like every time there's like a little tutorial, like, right, now you can start messing with like this aspect of the game. And you feel like a fucking like crouching pervert. You're like, oh yes, here we go. Fucking now I get to meddle with all the moves that each unit has. This is going to be brilliant. And it's so good. So I'm now at the point where, I was saying last week, it's like each unit is made up of like up to 6 characters on this little grid, and so you sort of arrange them there. And they're all different classes and stuff. They've got different equipment. So I'm now at the point where I'm messing with their abilities, and it's a little bit like the system from Final Fantasy 12, where it's, as I say, it's like kind of an auto battler, but I'm now messing with. So say a character's got like 2 attacks, right? Where like one's more powerful, but then the other one like heals you if you kill a target with it, right? So it might be like, right, by default, you use the more powerful one, but if the enemy's got like a certain amount of health, or if you're hurt, then use the other attack instead. And you start tweaking these things and thinking, well, is this going to make a massive difference? Yes, it is. Like suddenly you can just like, you're just murdering stuff again, just, by tweaking stuff a little bit. It feels great. Last week I didn't mention the presentation of it. I mean, I talked about the slightly, I mean, for some, like half the female characters have absolutely ludicrous Norks and stuff, but
Norks,
that aside,
fucking hell, Norks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Well,
like-
here. I don't want to be vulgar, do I?
I mean, I saw one of the characters,
Yeah.
and yeah, she obviously had
Norks.
massive Norks.
No,
But,
obviously
like-
massive Norks, yeah.
But like they were growing, like they'd clearly been drawn by someone who has never actually seen a woman
Nork.
with
This is it. Yeah.
massive,
yeah.
because like they
That
were
works
coming
well with me
out
then.
like vertically from about like a foot down her chest,
Yeah.
and it's like that's
That's
not how they
classic Nork,
work.
though.
This is,
isn't it?
this is,
Is that
I think
classic
this
Nork?
is why it doesn't
No.
like it doesn't creep me out, because I'm like, but who finds that attractive? I don't.
It
Yeah,
doesn't
it
creep me
just-
out.
Nork
it just-
fiends,
Quite the
that's who,
opposite.
Sean. Nork
Do
fiends.
you know what I mean?
It
It's
just
so hard
looked
to.
really, yeah. It was like you don't understand.
It's like it's just comical almost. I don't think it's their
Biology.
intention. I think you're right. I think
Anatomy.
whoever drew this stuff thinks it's really sexy, but don't agree.
Yeah.
But the actual
Just to see you
quality.
argue about what's sexy with the artists for this game. No.
But yeah, it's just like the amount of like the way the battle scenes play out is incredible. Because they're like, I don't know why in 2024 this is still really cool to me, but it's like the characters are just massive on the screen, right? And they're all sort of hand animated 2D characters, and they're just these like enormous sprites on the screen, and they look incredible. And like, and it's just fun to watch the battles play out. Like it's because it's like Fire Emblem. James will back me up on this next week, probably, maybe not.
What if he's back?
You reach a point with Fire Emblem where it's like the battles are cool to watch initially, and then reach a point where it's like, no, skip. I don't need to see them anymore. I know what the fights look like, and I know how they're going to play out. Whereas with this, you sort of go back and forth because it's mixing things up, because it's always introducing new unit types. So after a couple of hours, you might stop watching the battles, you might start skipping them. But then it'll introduce something else, and it's like, right, so when you're about to go into a fight, it like previews like the damage, right? It basically tells you like probably how things are going to play out. But you might be like, yeah, but I don't know why, right? I need to actually watch it, see what moves trigger when, and how they're interacting and stuff, and maybe see if there's like efficiencies I can make there. So you go back and forth, you go into the phases of skipping the battles, and then be like, no, I need to start watching them again and actually figure out what's going on. So that's really cool. There's loads of little touches in the animation, like if like and it's one of those things that's weirdly more impressive because it's 2D, and it's like, no, someone went out of their way to fucking draw and animate that, right? Like, if a character gets attacked, so it's like a swordsman or whatever gets attacked by another swordsman, then it's just plays out normally. But if it's like a character on a horse, the character that's being attacked will like look up to meet their gaze, and you're just like, they didn't have to do that. Like, it's very cool that they put that in. And like, you customize your like crest, right, for your army, and you're kind of doing it, and you're like, big deal, like, you know, like there's different elements you can change and stuff, and like choose the colors or what have you, and you're like, right, whatever, I don't really know what that was for. And then when you're in the next fight, it's like, oh shit, it's on the guy's shield, which again, in a 3D game, you were like, oh, well, obviously it's just taken the image and applied the texture to the shield. Where it's like, no, this is 2D. So they've obviously mapped it like as the shield moves around so that you know what I mean? It's just cool. There's loads of little touches like that. I'm absolutely loving it. The story's there. There
is one.
It keeps doing this thing. Is like, there's so many battles where basically at the end of the battle, you can often like recruit the enemy commander for some reason or another, because it turns out there's like loads of characters that like don't really want to be working for the baddies, but they just felt they had no choice or whatever. But there are so many that's like, in the lead up to the fight, they're clearly like the worst person alive. And then when you meet them, they're just like, oh, actually, I didn't really want to be doing this anyway. Can I join you instead? But I don't know, it's not convincing at all, but whatever. Yeah, loving it. Just sort of want to play that all the time at the moment. Very good game.
Cool.
The other thing I was going to briefly talk about, has anyone seen this Hideo Kojima documentary on Disney Plus?
Is this the one that came highly recommended by Hideo Kojima?
Yeah. I mean, it's...
Is it an hour of him walking around wishing he was making movies instead of video games?
Kind of. There's so many shots of him just walking around like cities and stuff while other people talk about how great he is. It's so weird. It's so strange. Like the first sort of 10 minutes, like the bum licking is just unbelievable, and then it does ease off. But I don't know. It's just like, it just doesn't show you anything. Like, I didn't learn a single thing from watching it. Maybe I'm not the target audience. Maybe it is for people who aren't necessarily into games. I don't know.
Well, what's the premise of it? Learn about him.
Just like, it's just documentary about Hideo Kojima, and he's making Death Stranding, and then it comes out. But it in no way like tells the story of the development. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're just listening to a bunch of people talk about how great he is, and then it's like, oh, and there is the gold copy of Death Stranding. And it's like, right, I've got no sense of how much work that was, or, you know, the blood, sweat, and tears that went into it, or anything like that. Really strange.
Right, yeah, so it's not a no-clip documentary, it's just
that's that's the thing. It's like, you know, like, I'm not just shitting on it because I'm not the biggest Kojima fan, but like, there are much better game documentaries than this. And you should watch those instead.
Cool.
Shame, really.
It is a shame. That's what I mean, because, you know, I've played a bit Death Stranding. I think there's some really cool stuff about it. I think there's some stuff I really don't like about it. I'm fascinated to see the story of how it was made and how those decisions and, you know, and some of those ideas came to be. But this isn't that.
No.
Yeah. So,
there's a lot of branding that goes on with Kojima. There's a lot of branding work, and it makes me a lot of, you know, celebrities saying how great he is because the name rather. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've not bought into it, boy.
Not a fan.
I just think I sort of fell out. Anyway, so don't need to hear that. Right. There is one more game written down in front of us that we'll briefly touch on. PowerWash Sim. You've been playing it, Sarah. It's the best game ever made.
Yeah, I mean, I played it for the first time like December last year because I came down with the flu really badly. Like, I could not move off the sofa for like 3 days. Had an absolute stinking headache, so like I couldn't really play anything with too much going on.
Yeah. It's a horrible feeling, isn't it? Where you start getting like really hot. Like,
I was hot, I was cold, everything hurt. Like, my entire it was horrific. But I could play PowerWash Sim. So it was for the first 3 days, and then also because I had to complete it, I carried on. I would just stick on a podcast on my phone and then just play PowerWash Sim.
That's how it's done.
Yeah. So put like 60 hours in. Played through
Turn
like
down
the
the
story.
turn down the tone of the water. Did you do that? That
Yeah,
helps.
yeah. I
so
still
good.
needed the sound of the water, but I put it on like
Yeah.
quite low.
Yeah, you put it on lows because it goes from to,
Yeah,
and you're like, oh yeah, this
Yeah.
is really hitting the
it's
spot
so
right now.
good. Yeah, I think I've got like even before I started the 40k DLC, I think my time on PlayStation was like 60 hours.
Shit, I want to know what mine is
So,
now.
but the
Let's
40
check.
the 40k DLC is really good. I mean, obviously the gameplay is PowerWash Sim.
Mhm.
Like there's nothing new with the gameplay. There's no new weird gadgets or anything. It's standard PowerWash Sim. But it's really good at how it fits in with 40k.
Mhm.
So one of the really kind of key things with Warhammer 40k is the scale. Like everything is massive.
Mm.
Every ship is like city sized. They have entire planets which are basically like tombs. So the area where you're doing all the cleaning is huge, and you can walk up to these massive windows and look out and see like a planet off in the background. So yeah, that's all really, really cool. But in terms of like the story, you're playing as someone one of the members of the Adeptus Mechanicus, who are kind of like tech worshippers. And so obviously you're part of the Imperium, so you're having to clean things like ultramarine tanks. There's a Cade.
It's mad that you talk about the story of PowerWash.
Yeah, this is the thing that's really, really surprising. So like obviously you're getting text messages as you obviously get like the intro text to tell you what it is that you're cleaning and to give you like the context, and then you're getting like the text messages throughout. And they do such an amazing job of fitting in with 40k lore. So one of the
totally
things
didn't have to, right? It could just be,
No.
oh yeah, you're just the cleaning guy. Here's a
Especially
Yeah.
when
Tank,
90% of
like-
the players are like me that just skip that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And don't even look at it. Yeah.
But it's things like one of them. I think it's when you're cleaning one of the dreadnoughts, and basically, in order for whenever you're cleaning it, they treat it as like a ritual, because that kind of ties into the Adeptus Mechanicus's whole idea of like worshipping technology and all that sort of stuff. And it's like, in order to make your worship, as in the cleaning, like better, they tell you about the battles that the dreadnought has been in. But the other big part of like 40k lore, in terms of like the lore of the Imperium, is knowledge is incredibly strictly controlled, and the Imperium has a lot of secrets. So loads of the text is like redacted.
right.
And yeah,
That's
it's
great.
just
Well,
it's
that's
just
such a lovely attention to detail, isn't it? That
Yeah.
links in with the lore, but makes it work even in a PowerWash sim.
yeah, it's because I mean,
game.
for 40k in Call of Duty, that makes sense. 40k in PowerWash Sim, on the face of it, doesn't make sense, but they have done such an incredible job of making it fit with the lore. Like whoever I think I tweeted about it, but whoever it is on the PowerWash Sim team who's written all of that text, like they've done an incredible job. Like really, really, really cool. And it's more things to clean, and it's more kind of interesting things to clean.
I've already worked it out, the text message stuff. You're Rodney, and it's Delboy texting you. I'll clean the van, Rodney. Clean Grandad.
You plonker.
Yeah,
I just
plonker.
love, like, I think I've said this before,
Magza.
but it reminds me a lot of Walkabout Mini Golf in terms of the way they've used the license stuff, in that they could have got away with so much less.
Yes.
But there's
Yeah,
a level of care to it. It's just really
Yeah,
nice
I mean,
It's good you mentioned that, because I was going to mention that. That they've announced this week War Sim Grommet is the next DLC for Walkabout Mini Golf, which I think could be really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
That's amazing.
There is. Oh, really? Oh, I'm playing that. That's wonderful. Oh, that's a stream. That's a fucking stream.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, we need to do that. Yeah, they do and they don't. I mean, there is like in the Back to the Future one, you're a person that's working on the set, and you've got to clean this new DeLorean thing, but the one you're cleaning is from Back to the Future 2. So I was kind of like, you you should know what this is by now, actually. Actually.
Well, it's like
Yeah, PowerWash Sims the business.
Yeah. Well, it's like it was very similar with the Final Fantasy VII stuff, and it's
Yeah.
like the texts were coming through, and it was like you were doing the cleans at the same time. Some of the early events of remake were happening, so you were getting texts about these like things that had happened, and yeah.
That's why
Yeah,
I
actually, I was
hope
going
that
to
if
ask
they
you
do-
about. I was going to ask you about
Oh,
the alternative
where,
timelines. Yeah, like does
yeah.
that? Should I play PowerWash Sim DLC to know I am in Rebirth?
Yeah,
You know,
that's the
is that the real timeline? And
No, that's just supplemental material.
oh, okay.
I would. It doesn't matter, Matt. You still wouldn't fucking understand it.
Well,
That's why they need to get me on board if they're doing the Only Fools and Horses DLC, because I can go, no, they didn't have the Batman and Robin costumes at this point, so don't
They hadn't won the
reference
lottery
them in
in
the
that.
text, please. Okay, should we do a couple of questions and go, because we are running over.
Yeah. This will be a quick one. Sorry, yeah, if you want to send us a question, go to tcgs.co/dear TCGS. Colin Jessup says, my 10-year-old son wants a VR headset for his birthday. Having never used one, which should I go with? He suggested the Quest 2. Is this a good entry level, and what do I need to make it work? Yes and nothing. You don't need any extra kit. It works entirely by itself. No setting up cameras and stuff. Obviously, you need like a fairly decent physical space to...
Yes.
Like, I mean, you don't
That is
actually
important.
need that much space, but in order to not accidentally punch the wall, you'll accidentally drift towards the wall without realizing it. And,
Especially if you're a kid, you do
yeah.
not give a shit about how expensive the TV is around you. Do you know what I mean?
But yeah, I mean, the Quest 2 is still totally serviceable. Like, all right, it's not going to have the same life as the Quest 3, but then it's also like half the price at this point. So, you know, you can buy mine if you want. Keep meaning to put it on eBay, and I keep forgetting because I'm bad at remembering to
70
do
quid for it.
things. Oh, sorry?
I'll give you £70 for it.
No, that's not enough.
Okay.
£71. I mean, I will say the minimum age is 12, so
Oh, is it?
I'll just say that.
All
yeah.
right, you fucking.
I'll just say that.
Well, that'll be
Fucking knock.
that'll be if wouldn't that be for like your own Meta account?
Well, just
I
like
don't
just
know.
generally, I mean, recommendation.
Is it an
that
account
just-
thing or is it like a
just
health?
saying.
Oh.
I know, he's such a boffin.
Colin,
I
get
think
him a
most
book. Colin, get him a
people's-
book. Get him a book or a bike.
Sir, he's letting him drink. He's underage.
Aren't
Shut
most
up.
people's heads fully grown by the time they're 12? I don't know what the
Matt's
rules are.
hasn't.
I don't know about the eyes. Yeah.
In terms of like, you know, you're into pupillary distance or whatever. I think that's-
I'm just saying what the guidelines say, Sean.
He's
That's all.
such a
fair
little
enough.
buff, his little teacher's pet.
I'm just saying that I wouldn't.
Yeah, no, Quest 2 would be absolutely fine. But wait for 2 years because he's too young.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Maria Mendieta says, Dear TCGS Combo Breakers, there was once a time when talking your way out of a boss battle was impressive. I remember buying the Wii U edition of Deus Ex Human Revolution precisely because of this option to outsmart certain characters. How would each of you talk your way out of a boss fight, for instance, with someone like Gruntilda or Ganon? Keep up the immaculate work. Sincerely, Maria.
Well, Gruntilda's easy. You just called her pretty. That's all she wanted. I felt
That's true.
sorry for Gruntilda.
Yeah.
Isn't
She
that what
just
everyone wants?
Yeah.
Yeah, same
Exactly.
answer for Ganon.
Ganon probably would want that. We don't know.
Problem is, with these eyes, I don't think it's going to happen for me.
Okay,
I mean, how do you
so-
talk Ganon down?
No visual gags on
The
the,
thing with
eyes.
Ganon
Sorry
is
about
it's
that.
entirely unclear what his fucking problem is.
Yeah, I know. He's just a prick, isn't
Yeah,
he?
just
He's
Yeah,
like
he's-
an old school prick.
Yeah,
He just wants to take over everything, right?
yeah, like
How-
when it would be much easier not to. You already
At
had his
what
own
point-
kingdom.
At what
Also-
point did we have to have a reason for them being a prick? Like, there's at one point someone said, "No, let's actually see." Oh, actually, there's actually something going
Yeah,
on.
the origin
there,
story is.
I think
Well,
just
maybe that's
semi-relatable villains are a good thing.
maybe
right?
that's how you talk out of it with Ganon. Ask him
Yeah.
what his relationship with his father was like,
Yeah.
That's true.
or
Yeah,
his
the full-on
childhood,
therapy.
and maybe
Yeah,
you'll
yeah,
uncover that like
Yeah.
deep set trauma that's
'Cause
making
if-
him
yeah,
act
if you
out,
can-
and he'll reconsider everything.
Exactly. If you can do the inner work, you'll find actually a lot of the things he's doing now is because of how he was loved or treated as a child. And if you fix that,
Exactly.
then I think Link and Zelda would be like loving it, love your
Called
job.
Ganon
No,
for a start. Do you know what I mean?
So basically, the answer is just
through
therapy,
school's
isn't it?
Gannon.
Yeah.
Well, his name's
Yeah,
actually
fair enough.
Aaron, but it was misheard, and then now he's like, I'm going to have to lean into the
Now
Gannon
I'm
thing.
like,
I am
Gannon.
He's actually
sorry to do this.
Aaron Smith, and then it's like, oh, just
But
Gannon.
the sort of, because there's Ganon and there's Ganondorf, right? Ganondorf is the one who's like a guy, and Ganon is a monster, I think.
Yeah.
So the
Sometimes,
monster,
maybe.
probably nothing you can do about that. It's just a monster.
There was a kid at my
Well, it's
school.
like Sean
in
and
the
Shawndorf, you know.
Yeah,
it's
exactly,
like,
yeah.
Who are we podcasting with
I'm
now?
actually
I'm not
Sean,
sure.
so Shawndorf is
Yeah.
just like much more normal looking person.
Whereas we're podcasting with Sean.
Matt, there was a kid in my school that on the first day he said someone said something and he went, "That's a bit random." So for the rest of his time at that school, people just called him Random. That was it. Random Jack, his name was. You right, Random? That was his name. And the other one that said something about a Fraggle, and he was called Fraggle for the rest of the. And I remember him on the last day, like just going, I wish I never said Fraggle on that first day. It's like kids are cruel.
Yeah, that's like
awful,
when I went with on an early lads holiday with my mates from home, and Andy had the audacity to bring a suitcase with wheels on it, and then now his nickname is Wheels. That's the origin of that. He's got wheels because he had the audacity to have a fucking wheelie bag. That's
Well,
it.
like me and my partner had this conversation in the car, like literally yesterday. We were talking about how I think it was like a friend of his. Before his friend had a kid, he mentioned a couple of like names that they were thinking about, and Gareth was like, "No, don't do this because kids will call him this."
Yeah.
And I was like, "But it doesn't matter because kids will find a way.
I'll find something.
There will always be a way to find a nickname.
Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be based on the name, like you said, like Wheels and Random. Like it doesn't matter."
I wouldn't call a kid Dick. It's just you're asking for trouble.
Oh yeah. There's
Simon, Stuart.
There's definitely ways. There's ways you can make it harder, but kids will always find a way to.
There is a way of making Dick harder. There's no. Come on, that was on the table.
Oh my God, David! I had it in my mind. I'm not going to go there. I'm just not going to go there. And
yeah, but that's why because you go for the obvious ones, Matt.
That was on the table. As obvious as it got. I was like, I'm not doing that. Not Sarah.
I'm not being funny. My dog's
we know that
off, and I think. Oh, thanks, Matt.
we are
he's being sick.
Your dog is all time.
You pop off for a bit. We'll read one more question. See if you come back for the socials because I know you're itching to hear that.
I'll pop off then.
Okay.
No visual gags.
Shields asks, question for the assembled experts. I'm currently sick of the wicked cold that made me feel terrible, went away, and then came back again with a vengeance. I made a mistake of playing Return to Grace, a nice puzzle light walking sim on Game Pass. I didn't know this exists. I didn't know this exists. A puzzle-like walking sim on Game Pass. That sounds like I need to play Return to Grace. And had a rough night's sleep of the feverish dreams about the malevolent yes, and being stuck alone in space. This experience reminded me of the time as a teenager I watched my friend play Paper Mario and the 1,000-Year Door in a deep flu that left me with serious trauma and imagery that plagued me afterwards. Any times you have played a game ill and have been left with bad dreams and warped memories of the game? Well, yes. Me and my brother played the original Tomb Raider on the Sega Saturn when we had mad flu. I mean, a flu that kept us off school for like, thinking back now, it was probably a week, but it felt like it was 3. You know what I mean? Because time moves slower when you're a kid or whatever. But for a week, we sat in my front room with duvets over our laps playing Tomb Raider. And to this day, it still makes me feel a bit weird whenever I see it and hear the music. And you know the bit with the tape at the start where you spin it around? Like just the menu where you flip it around. Like that bit just sends
even that makes you feel unwell.
It makes me feel like I've got that cold sweat again. Just that bit, just watching that thing go whoosh, whoosh, as it's moving around. It just makes me feel weird, man. That weirds me out.
I mean, this is my question for most of this, but I've never been able to understand how someone who's ill can do anything other than sleep. Like the fact you said, Sarah, you had the flu, like, and you play loads of PowerWash. I'll literally, I mean, if I'm ill, I just sleep, and I don't have the energy or the brain capacity to like, play a game or enjoy it or whatever. I just can't do it.
I mean, I did that a lot.
Oh right, yeah. So there was napping as well. 60 hours of PowerWash sim.
Yeah, it was, and also the 60 hours was like over the point that I was ill, and then the point I was playing when I was ill got me to the point where I was like, oh no, now I need to finish this game. So even though I was better, I still played it through until I'd completed it.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I thought you were going to say those 60 hours of PowerWash sim, it was continuous.
there was no break.
No sleep within those 60 hours. And actually, Ellie Gibson owes you a Guinness Book of World Records plaque.
I didn't get any weird dreams or anything from it though, which was good.
No, the only time that games have affected my sleep was Halo 2, and laying down in my bed and closing my eyes and seeing the HUD, like until I woke up in the morning,
like
seeing the OLED. Oh my god, I felt like an OLED screen. Sean?
Hello. Yeah, I think I mentioned at the time, but when I played the Banished Vault, and it was just such a weird game that I think I was ill anyway, but it really felt like as I was playing it, it was making me ill. And then and then because I had a fever, so I always have really weird fever dreams. I think most people do, but yeah, it
such a distinct looking game, wasn't it? That
well, yeah, exactly. And I just ended up having these horrible fever dreams about it. Which in a way sort of felt like the sort of perfect experience of it, and I never went back, even though it's clearly a really good game. But yeah, it's like, yeah, no, it just really fucked me up because it's a really fucking weird game. Job done.
Okay, let's do one last one.
Hang on, where are we? Yes, Pete B says, "Dear Dexterous Dads, thanks for all the work you put into the show every week. Me and my wife just had our first baby, a boy, on the 23rd of February, and the show was a godsend.
Congratulations.
Yeah, show was a godsend in helping me retain some form of sleep-deprived sanity whilst we were in hospital. How could anyone sleep in those chairs? Don't complain about it, because I complained about it and I got shouted at because I deserved to get shouted at because my wife had just given birth.
Yeah.
After we got the first few
I went
weeks...
to the pub.
Did you?
Yeah, legitimately. I said, there's no way I'm sleeping here overnight. This is insane. So I went to the pub.
Fair dues. After we got through the first week of not having a clue, I was excited to use some of my precious spare time to play some games. Before the birth, I'd intentionally refrained from playing some games such as Disco Elysium so that I'd have something to be absorbed by during my paternity leave. However, like all plans related to children, this went out the window and I ended up playing bloody Dead Island 2 on Game Pass for the entire period.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I think I just needed some mindless fun and nothing too taxing. Do you ever have plans to play specific games during certain periods of downtime that go completely out the window when the time comes? Keep up the great work. Appreciate you all, Pete.
Yeah, that's the Christmas is the perfect one for that.
Yeah.
This will be
I
my
had that
Christmas
this
game.
Christmas.
Yeah.
This will be my Christmas game. Yes, I can't wait to play this over Christmas. And next thing you know, you're playing Horace because it was 2p on the eShop. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's
100%.
You can't pick that stuff. It just what happens.
Yeah.
It does pick you. That's it for me. That's my answer.
Yeah. No, I had the exact same thing. Like this Christmas just gone. Like I think I was planning to get like God of War Ragnarok because I've still not played that yet. And I barely played anything all Christmas.
Always away. I don't think I've had one of these for a while. I know certainly like there was definitely a long period of time where there was loads of other stuff I wanted to play, but every time I turned on the Xbox, it was like, yeah, I could just play Destiny 2 though. And not even doing anything particularly taxing because, you know, obviously what's good about a game like Destiny 2 is it scales depending on what you want out of the evening, right? If you want to do something really tough, you can. If you just want to wander around shooting aliens, go for it. And that's what I would do. And especially like when Isaac was really young, I would like fall asleep playing it and wake up just shooting a wall and stuff. It's great fun.
Do you do that on Helldivers too, where you're like playing on challenging or whatever, and then just before you go to bed, you're like, I'm not one dad to easy, or not easy, but there's not one dad to
just
medium,
a little
go to bed.
cheeky win before bed.
Yeah, a little cheeky W.
I haven't, but that sounds good.
It's the way to go. It is the future. That's it for the show this week. Matt Murray, you got any socials for us?
I'm going to assume no streams this week.
Correct. News
I don't know
working
James
like
is.
most
He's
nights this week. So
got a work thing.
James will be on Friday when he's back.
Is he back?
Is he?
think
Who
so.
knows?
Best thing to do
They
is
come
go
in
over to
San Diego.
twitch.tv/TCGSco or search TCGS in the app or website and follow us, and then you'll know, and also look at our socials, and you'll know when we go live, maybe Friday, maybe Thursday, depends when James is back. If you have Amazon Prime and a Twitch account, connect your 2 accounts, very easy in settings. And they give you something called Twitch Prime Gaming. With that, you get 1 free subscription you can give to any channel you want, namely us, and we get a little bit of Bunsen burner, a nice little
Kickback.
earner, a couple of quid we can use to spend on
How
on
many
Pop
times
Shield.
have I heard this in my life? I would love to know
Yeah,
how
but
many.
he always
how many-
switches it up a little bit. It's not
Yeah.
like he doesn't just have a script and just reads it out every week. Like he always.
Well, yeah, he
like to
does.
mix
Bit of
it
effort
yeah.
there. It's
I like
nice.
to mix that, boy. Anyway, go to our channel and give us your sub. We really love it. We're on Patreon, which is patreon.com/TCGS. The bonus show will be recorded at some point soon, and it might be a humdinger. I mean, they mostly are, actually, to be perfectly honest with you, if we're all back.
Bonus
And
show's always fun.
This month's video stream is, Sonic versus Sonic, which is the Sonic Choose Your Own Adventure book, which we're very excited to play this month. And the website is tcgs.co. Thanks to our amazing Discord community. Go over there if you haven't already and join up. We've got loads of great chat. There's like people playing Helldivers every day in the audio channels and all sorts. Discord is over there.
We should say, because we've had a few questions about Helldivers, like, oh, do I need to play it with mates, etc., etc. There's loads of really nice people on our Discord playing it together, and as far as I'm aware, they are very
Join 'em.
welcoming, and have a look.
Yeah.
Apart from Lindy.
join them.
Apart from Lindy, she's awful.
Yeah, she's a monster.
Fine.
Go to the website, links to our Discord community, social store, you name it, it's all over there. You know what I mean?
Right. Thank you so much for joining us, Sarah. It was great to have you on again.
No, thank you for having me.
And we will catch you next week for some more gaming chit chat. And who knows? James might actually fucking show up for once.
Might start a new
Alright.
weekly streak of one.
He's regenerated. He's had a week off. He'll be fine. He'll be back
We'll see.
for a
We
week.
love you. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.